All right, y'all. Welcome to All Politics are Local, America's number one political hip hop radio talk show. Y'all know if it's Friday, y'all know it's time for All Politics are Local. But more importantly, y'all know if it's the fourth Friday, y'all know it's time for the disciples. So they're going to be up first. And then, of course, we're going to have a number of things going on tonight. So, of course, I'm one of your hosts. And Brother Zaid is your other host. So we're going to give you the rundown and then we'll bring up the disciples. So coming up at 6, of course, as I said, it's going to be the disciples with Reverend Roundtree, and of course our First Lady Sister Balena Ali. Of course, the captain of the ship. He's not going to be with us tonight, Brother Abdul Haqq Muhammad.
Haqq.
Brother Abdul Haqq is not going to be with us tonight. So that's going to be up first. Of course, the disciples again with Councilwoman-at-Large, Reverend Roundtree, and of course our First Lady, Sister Balena Ali. And coming up at 7, Zai, what we got?
We got a conversation with Alex Vitale and Ray Tariq. Ray has been on before. Ray with the mighty Newark Community Street Team. Alex Vitale is a restorative justice scholar who's known for his book, The End of Policing, and he's associated with that provocative term, defund the police.
Mm-hmm.
They wrote a powerful op-ed on the impact of Trump's budget cuts on what we do with community-based violence intervention in Newark and what it means nationally, right? So we're going to have that conversation with them at 7 o'clock.
And then, of course, we got coming up at 7:45. We're going to have one of our beloved brothers, Delacy Davis, former police officer. Of course, he's Dr. Delacy Davis. He's going to be up. And, we're going to talk with him, as well as a young brother who's a friend of ours, who is a father of a 23-year-old. And we're going to talk about some of this police brutality that seems to be ramping back up with these police stops. So we're going to talk about that with Brother Delacy Davis and Scot Soanes. That's going to be up at about 7:45. And then, of course, at 8:30, we'll have my brother DJ Rhino coming up. All right. So we're going to turn this ship over to the disciples, and then they're going to tell you what they got going on. They'll introduce themselves, and they'll tell you what's going on. And me and Zaid, we'll be good shipmates. We'll come in when we need to come in. So, Reverend Roundtree, and of course, Balena Ali.
Yes. Good evening, good evening, good evening. And we're excited about our phenomenal disciple show this evening, where me and my sister, the women, gonna hold it down tonight with the brothers. All politics are local. I'm gonna say America, Newark, New Jersey, the city, the state, the country, and the counties. Number one hip hop online radio, and say news and views, as Bernice Bass used to say. I can borrow that for a minute. It used to be news and views. I don't know if y'all remember. Y'all probably remember Bernice Bass. I was a child when she was on the air. But good evening, good evening, good evening. There go my son, daughter.
Good evening.
It's my sister, Lady Balena Ali. Pastor Jalil is on watching us, just like you used to be on watching us when me and my brother was on the line. Good evening, Brother Ed. Good evening, Brother Zahid Muhammad. I'm excited. I'm excited because I'm alive, I'm well, I'm breathing, and I'm more excited because there's a producer that's not just knowledgeable, but conscious that these type of conversations conversation have to be had. These type of presentations have to be had. And that is none other than the one and only Ed Riley Esquire, producer. Yeah, 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 yeah.
I'm gonna have to
So thank
ping
you.
you.
Frame up.
So I'm excited. I miss you, Minister Abdul Haqq Muhammad. But my brother, we gonna bring it. We gonna bring it in this little time. We got it. And Lady Balena Ali getting ready to bring it herself. It is in your hands, sis.
Well, I'm really, really glad to be alive. I had my final checkup um, for my 5th year of being breast cancer free. Which y'all all know I had triple negative invasive ductal carcinoma. It was a happy time and a sad time because my husband wasn't here because I really thought when I did my 5 years, he was going to be here with me. But I still thank God for life, strength, and health. I thank God every day I get up. I do not take life for granted. I do not take life for granted. And it's really sad that I always say this. It took breast cancer to come into my life for me to stop taking my life for granted. But I'm excited. I'm breast cancer free. And some other things I want to do. We have a new ministry at the church called the Mental Health and Wellness Ministry. Um, we
Yes.
working out every other Saturday outside in the parks. We talking about bringing in people to talk about mental health and wellness because mental health is real. I'm on that ministry with two of the other young women at my church, and I'm just excited about that. I'm just so excited. I'm so excited. I'm walking again. I'm over 150 days walking every day. I have not hit 10,000 steps every day, but I've been walking over 150 days, and that's something I haven't did since before Corona. So I'm just excited about life. I really am.
Well, we're excited to hear your good news. If you had a serious scare that had us all shook, and it's nothing but the grace of the Creator that you were able to beat that
Yes,
expression of the devil's behind back.
yes,
Right? And we pray that you continue to work those combinations. Me and Ed are fighters, so I'm using boxing language, right? Using those combinations to whoop that devil's behind, right? All praise to Allah, the God of our ancestors, right? Um, yeah, that's powerful. Yeah, you got. I'm sure you're including first daughter in that mental health conversations we developing. Right there, you better be using it. Gotta be using it, right? You should definitely know what to say and know who to go to. And we need, you know, the two of you represent, along with Hawk, not only represent our prophetic voice in this space, but you also represent what it looks like in the space that we're making peace on the streets and doing healing on the streets. And the thing that's we're great to have y'all and great to have y'all being so great. But the thing is that's mind-boggling to me is that there should be an army of Reverend Louise Roundtree. There should be an army that should be rolling with that was rolling with your husband and you and coming behind this young man that you're bringing into the mix. There should be an army of of Muslim leaders, coming along with Abdul Haq Muhammad. There should
amen.
be more
Yes,
more prophetic voices involved in this and involved in this unapologetically and unafraid. So I just got to just throw that in the atmosphere and give you y'all props and lay out the fact that that's something that we definitely need. And in our communities, wherever we're having these conversations and trying to make this peace and do this healing. Now I know Sister Minister Councilwoman is trying to talk. She muted.
No, I had to come off mute because I'm in somebody's business. So I didn't want to bring you all into the business I'm in right now. But
Just get us,
listen, I'm getting
just
ready to
get
go
us,
back. How you
just bring
doing?
us over
You know,
whatever you
I
need.
can't go nowhere publicly and not speak. I'm just like, God bless you. How are you? I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. It's good. How's everything? Everything is good. I'm actually on All Politics and Local on a number one hip hop radio, Facebook. Let me go and get on. I'll see y'all later because I'll be advertising Wait a minute now. Yes. I'm
It's all stuff.
advertising your business everywhere I go.
Don't just
Every
advertise. Get us something.
that's listen, where are you? I'm in. I had to come to Vauxhall to pick up dinner for a senior citizen. What's the
Wow.
name called? Mama's Barbecue.
All right. All
And
right.
then I gotta take we got okay, I don't want to be putting everybody business.
That
I
was
got a
my
lot of
husband's
folks.
favorite spot.
Yeah,
Sound
I need
good.
I need to make sure that that we when we helping folk, we don't have to blast it on Facebook, call their name. We don't have to do nothing because we don't do it for the applause. We do
That's
what we
right.
do for the cause.
That's right.
So if somebody needs some help, somebody needs some food, somebody needs some clothes, that's what the disciples are supposed to do. Am I right?
Amen.
That's
Man,
what we're supposed to do. Hey, Cindy Bell. What's up, Sugar Sugar? Welcome to All Politics and Local. Tonight you're on with the disciples. We got so much to talk about. I heard with Lady Balena how she's not, God don't want no cowards. God don't want, he don't need no coward soldiers. He can't use no coward soldiers. Pastor
right.
Jalil, he can't use, if you a coward, he can't use you. But if you ain't been through nothing, ain't no test either. If you haven't been
Come
through no
on.
test, there's no testimony. Here in the city of Newark, here in the state of New Jersey, here in the country, with all that's going on, we got all time. Wait a minute, tonight, if you're on your way or not on your way, the mayor's men's meeting is tonight, 6 o'clock. It started over at Central. Mayor's men's meeting is happening right now as we speak. When I hear people say there's nothing available, that there's no programs, uh, how do you put this, brother Bob? Whatever it's not, it's because you didn't go get it. Like the men's meeting is not coming to your house. I mean, we might be able to pull one together. Uh, some things, jobs are not coming to knock on your door. You know, ask people, I need a job, Councilwoman. I was like, where have you been? Everywhere. Well, where's that?
Mhm.
I talk to everybody. Well, who is they? Who's everybody? Where's everywhere? Like, can you tell me where have you been? Like, where have you been? Then you got the folks that get on and it's so unfortunate that while we complain about people building, we should be using that same breath and that same energy to try to build all of us, not just the people I'm talking to, but I'm talking about me too. Even though I don't have no time to complain about who's building, because I'm happy for them. I'm happy for people who put their mind and set their mind to want to build something. All politics are local will always go down in history because Ed Riley had a vision. Anybody out there got
Yes.
any vision?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Anybody out there got any vision other than the 2020 that might not even be 2020? Some people have, Lord help us. We could talk about business, we could talk about entrepreneurship, we could talk about all the events that we do. And those are just temporary assignments. What do we have that's long lasting? The mayor's been doing men's meetings since he has been in office. We're getting ready to do a family meeting on August 22nd. And one of our guests tonight, when she gets on here, or they get on, are two of the individuals that will be speaking along with Brother Nuri at the Priority Restaurant for our family meeting on August 22nd. We doing things. We trying to give people got mental health issues. We're having mental health conferences. People want to build houses. We got an EHD office. But what's going on, and listen, the reason I'm saying all this, Brother Ed, is because the truth of the matter is, folks got to stop blaming people that are crazy for what's going on in their life. You already know they're crazy.
Mhm.
You already know. You know something wrong with these people. And you knew something was wrong with them before they got their positions. We never prepare. We never, ever prepare for what some folk do. That's why I was telling somebody, Keen, these some of our other parts. Rockefeller money, Keene money. There's still some Kennedy money floating out there. That's old money.
Yeah.
Isn't it, Baba? Old money. We got any Zaid money?
Hell no.
Riley. We got some Riley money.
Hey,
Where our money at? Where our money at?
Roundtree. Roundtree,
Where
did
our
you hear Zaid?
reparations at?
Hey,
They in
Roundtree.
them white men. What? Well, go ahead.
Hey, Roundtree, did you hear Zaid? He said, hell no.
I heard him. I heard him. I heard him. I heard him.
Roundtree, Zaid said, don't come looking for me. Hell no.
You know? Yeah, but when I'm saying that to say that somebody was talking to me today about Black Wall Street. I was like, so we gonna keep on talking about that Black Wall Street? We gonna keep on talking about how they burn. That's what we do. We need to remember our history. We need to discuss these things that are going on.
I know some Black Wall Street.
You breaking up.
Work.
You better come on.
Right?
You better come on.
I'm trying to get her on.
On.
It's a bad little sister out of Black Wall Street named Dr. Tiffany Crutcher, who's trying to rebuild Black Wall Street.
I know.
Out of the pain of losing her twin brother, Terrence Crutcher, their Hands Up, Don't Shoot case back in 2016. He built up a foundation in his name. That's a force for reparations, restorative justice, and economic redevelopment.
So that's exactly where I was going, Brother Ed, with this conversation. We talk about what was, and there's nothing wrong with history, because I believe that you can't change where you're going if you don't know where you've been. I believe in all of that. But the truth is, some of us get stuck on, I got to find another word for, because I don't want to use stupid, but because that's not the right word. That is really not the right word, just because we're stuck.
I know where you're trying to go, though. I hear where you're trying.
Yeah, but we get stuck in yesterday. We're so stuck in yesterday, we're not even working on what we need to do for today. Never mind tomorrow. We can't get beyond the pain. I told, and it was irrelevant today. I had to deal with someone that had a very serious situation. And that individual kept talking about what was last year and what was year before. I said, baby, we got to deal with today because you got a problem right now. Like, I can't talk about what I'm trying to help you resolve what's getting ready to happen to you today. Like right now. I can't talk about how you got here yet. Let's just deal with what you got to deal with today, and then make sure whatever got you here don't happen again. You know, and that's relevant to our individual, our lives. Some of us get so stuck on who did us wrong, who's not treating us right, who's in our way. And I always remember my mother saying, when people would come to her and complain to her about, and back then they would say, the white man's in my way. If you know my mother's story, the only thing in your way is you.
Amen.
So she would never allow the odds to dictate her destination. She just wasn't going to do that.
No, she did. You had a wonderful mom too.
You know, so and it's not for everybody. Everybody's not made up the same way. But I used to say this about Lady Ali's husband. Is he the only preacher that could go stand on the corner with a bullhorn?
Come on.
Out of 700? Like, I talked to them. I got them to come out during COVID for the mayor. Our pastors would come out on Monday. 25 or 30 of them went out in the Central Ward and walked the neighborhood and did a prayer walk. I said, because while you are waiting for them to come inside, folks is looking for you to come outside.
That's right.
While you waiting for them to come sit in your pew, some of what they see inside it's like, oh, What's the difference? Because y'all doing the same things in there that's out here. So I might as well stay out here. So they need to see you outside. They need to know that we care. They need to see us walking down the street. The Muslim community and Jehovah Witnesses, if the faith-based community was on one accord, dealing with the circumstances and the issues of today, they would see the love and unity. Because religion is one of the things that definitely separate us. And now they're using the evangelicals to do that. Now everything is about God and Jesus. And I mean, these people are using, and that's the sad part. I went to a LGBTQ event downtown. And when I got there were people there with signs. They said, Jesus saves and you going to hell. I was like, how do you put them how do you put that on the same sign? Can you tell me that? Brother Ed, how do you put that you're going to be saved and die at the same time and be condemned? How do you put that? Lady Balena, how do you put that? How do you demonstrate for our young people that there's hope? But you say the one that some call the Son of God saves, but then you now watch this, and you representatives of God. Y'all are representatives. And there was a movie called The Omen. If I don't feel like Washington is the Omen right now, y'all remember the movie The Omen?
Oh yeah.
Anybody remember that movie?
Yeah.
The Omen, yeah.
I'm just saying.
For sure.
They can do that
I mean,
because they act like they don't have no sin, and they act like they perfect.
baby, when I got
And
up
my
on that
and my
stage, I got up on the stage because they said, oh, you came just on time. I was 2 hours late because I had some stuff to do at the church, but I knew they would still be there. When I got there, they said, oh, we so glad you're here. I was like, why? And they pointed to me, pointed to those people that were out there with those signs. And I got on the stage and I said, I don't know what God y'all, I mean, like, what God doesn't love everybody? I mean, that don't mean he love what you do. Just because people love you, I'm gonna love you no matter what. I don't care who you are, what you've been through, what you did. I'm going to love you and care for you. Do I agree with you? Probably not with some I mean, you don't have to condone what people do and not love them at the same time. I said, so I got up there, baby, before I knew it, they was going, and the signs was too. You know, I said, what God y'all out there representing? It's up here condemning folk and talking about Jesus saves, but you going to hell at the same time. You can't have two different messages coming out of that's a double-minded individual. And our communities right now need solid messages like our mayor gives, solid messages like Brother Ed, solid messages like Dr. Charles Boyer, solid messages that we learned from Dr. Balena Ali, because people perish for the lack of knowledge. And we can start dealing with the topics of the news and views down in Washington right now with what's going on with our sisters down there, the things that they're trying to do. Baby, there's a song that a sister of mine, and I'm ready to yield for a minute. There's a song that a sister of mine recorded. The devil tried and he tried and he tried, but he failed. You know, and no matter what we think there's a victory in, we're more than conquerors. And that's how we have to think. We're the head and not the tail. I don't care where you put me. All right, that's it. Balena, come on. While we waiting on the Lady Ali.
like I said, the people talk like that because my husband used to say he hung out with God fearing people, not church folk. He used to say church folk was the worst folk.
Come
And I
on.
really believe that as I'm walking through this new journey called life, because church folk look down on everybody. They don't see no good in nobody but themselves. But I really think they don't look in the mirror, because I think they got to learn how to look on themselves before you could point the finger at somebody else. I tell everybody, every day I wake up and tell God, thank you, and ask him to forgive me for my sins, knowingly and unknowingly.
Got to do it.
Because if I think it, I might as well go on and do it, because it's sin. And I think a lot more people will come up in churches if church folk stop acting like they perfect. I always used to tell my husband, when I become perfect, God gonna call me home, because there was only one perfect person, that was Jesus, that walked the earth. I'm not perfect. I don't dot every I and I don't cross every T. And I learned not to look down on people. But like I said to Brother Ed at one of our shows one time, I can talk to young people because I had my daughter at 17. I could talk to young women that's pregnant because I was in my own apartment at 18 with a 1-year-old. I could talk to young women who had to go on welfare for a little while until I got a decent job to take care of my daughter. I could talk to young women and say, you can do that. You can get better. I tell my daughter all the time, I want her to be better than me. I'm not jealous of nobody that's younger than me. I always try to pull them up to let them know it's better for you out there. You just got to want it. You just got to want it.
By the way,
So-
I'm trying to get your guests the link. They had some trouble
And-
receiving the link.
Yeah, I sent it to her.
Here they come now. That's right.
There they go. So let me just say this before Patrice and Masani get on. Let me say this. You know what, Lady Ali, Brother Ed, and for those who are tuned in listening to us, I think the biggest problem is that those in the church were not always in the church. Like I was raised, my mother was pastor, father was a pastor. And there was a time when I got away from all that because, I was like, Lord, as soon as I get old enough, I was made to go. I was drugged here, I was on drugs, all right. Drugged to Bible study, drugged to choir rehearsal, drugged to church service on Sunday morning. I was drugged all over the place. I had to sit there while he sat with people. Yeah, so I'm not being drugged. I was drugged out, okay? And the father and mother pastor, look, it wasn't no playtime for me. If there was any playtime, it was at the church, with the kids there. And of course, that wasn't the place to play. I came up in a different era. I know nothing about, my mother was different. I know nothing about no toys. I was telling that story the other day. First time I pulled her head off. I didn't know what to do with it. I was like trying to do her hair and just snatch it off. But anyway, the real problem is, and when I did pull away for a minute, I caught myself going to a club. I wasn't even 18 yet, but I was out of high school. I was in college. Got to the club, and the people there saw me and spotted me and called my mother.
Spotted you out. That's right.
All right. Now, the second time I went is what made me say, you know what? Same people. I had this epiphany. I said, well, they out here just like I am. So if they out here just like I am, I might as well going back to the church. Same people in the club, same people in the church. So I had this thing where there was nowhere to hide outside of the church, because the church is really a place for those who are trying to be about some change, or that really want to do right. It's a hospital. I don't think people understand that houses of worship and these buildings or facilities or whatever, mass sheds, we go so we can get instruction to application. You go there to get the word, to get the problem is some of us get instruction and come out and don't apply nothing. So you get outside and the people outside is like, she the preacher? And they shouldn't be doing that, but they don't know nothing about the word. So they stand in judgment, not knowing that you shouldn't be judging nobody. But church folk come out and it's an amazing, and we're going to leave that because there's so many other topics that I know Brother Ed want to bring up. But we just did our little spiritual overview tonight. Because Right now, you got some folks down in Washington acting like, you know, y'all know what I'm trying to say. There's, is that Masani and Patrice?
Yes, that's Masani. Patrice
Please,
took a step
Charlie
to the
Brand.
side, but here she comes.
You only need one. You only need one device, because if you have two devices on, it's
I
going
wanted to
to.
make sure it came up on the computer first. You
Oh,
going on that
good.
one?
Look like that she's still at the store.
Of course she is. You know why? Because she's serious about her business.
Yes, she is.
That's what I was just talking
Yes.
about how we talk about building. You know, people that want to build are doing just what she's doing. People that want to build are doing what me and First Lady is just talking about her new the new services that she's going to be providing for mental health. People that want to build are not talking about building and how they gonna build. They building while they talking about it. They ain't just talking about it. Is that Masani and
Absolutely.
Patrice?
Yes,
Yes.
Mom. Yes, yes, yes. Yes,
Blessings,
Welcome
ma'am.
to
everyone.
All Politics and Local,
Hello.
where
Thank you.
where
Thank you for having us again. You
Yes.
know, we
your
always
brother Ed
appreciative
Riley.
to be
Well,
on
I want to use them
the
for a
show.
couple of things. That family meeting you're going to be on, the family meeting to talk about entrepreneurship, business, how reading is fundamental. Tonight we know you have some events coming up, but we just want to talk to you, both of you, because um, listen, brother Ed, one of them stay in Africa. Okay, she won't be going right now, but she go to Africa, come back 3 months, and bring back half of Africa with us, so that people can see our culture. Um, People can see exactly what it is that was created for us. The arts, the arts. You know, we are very artistic minded individuals here in the city of Newark and other areas. We're talking about Newark right now. Masani, Patrice, introduce yourselves, and then you can carry on the conversation. Brother Ed might have some questions. Sister Lady Balena might have some. But two African American women, they have a business downtown Newark that if some other individuals, hey, Sister Jones, would have had their way, they would not have that building. Black owned, black
That's right.
operated, black run and operated with conscious information for while they're trying to take stuff out of, write our history out or take our history out of stores, they bring in more and more books to make sure that we have what we need. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's in your hands, Masani and Patrice, or Brother Ed. If you have some questions you want to ask them before they introduce themselves and talk a little bit about their legacy and their work.
Well,
Well,
to start off
think,
with, okay.
I think first thing they should do is just tell people, who they are, and let's talk about that fabulous bookstore, uh, and how long they've been around. I mean, obviously, no one who comes to this city, particularly if you black, and you don't find your way to that bookstore, you don't find your way to part of that culture. I venture to say you ain't really been to Newark.
Amen.
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 I say thank you. Thank you for that. You can hear us okay, can you not?
I hear you
Oh
fine.
yeah.
Oh, okay, great. So I'm Masani,
And I'm Patrice.
and we're part of the owners of Source of Knowledge. Been downtown Newark for close to 35 years now, right at 867 Broad Street. Um,
The largest black owned bookstore in New Jersey, one of the largest in the country, where everything in here look like us. Every children's book, everything made, everything is all
Amen.
about us.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
We've got plenty of places that talk about themselves, and we should not have any shame about holding up and uplifting our own.
Yeah.
Um, I heard Reverend Roundtree. She was talking about something about, or what another sister said something about how we got to pull one another up. There's a saying on one of the walls in which I like to always keep in mind. I like to lift while I'm climbing. That's right, because we should never want to be at the top by ourselves. So therefore, we
Come
got to
on
make sure
now.
we pull up company, pull up those, because we need to be there with one another, because that's how we grow together. We need to
Yeah.
make sure that we pull one another up. So that's something I like. That's something dear to my heart. And then just before I let Patrice start talking, there's a brother came in here today. Goes on from what you said, Brother Ed. If you haven't been to Newark, you know, come to it. Come to Source of Knowledge. This brother said he came in today, and he's from Arizona. He drove over here from Arizona for the last week. His wife and his daughter met him this evening because they flew in. He's like, no, we're not doing a car thing. But he said, everybody, every Black person, when you go to a new city, you go to a city to visit and stuff, you should always stop in a Black bookstore. Whether you like to read or not, just go in there to feel the element, to just be a part of the knowledge, to look around and just see what's being offered. And I like that because that's what wherever we go on vacation or wherever we go somewhere new, like where's the bookstore?
Yeah.
And that's what I look for. I look for the Black bookstores because I want to see them, I want to know them, I want to identify with them, and I want them to know that they got another comrade in the state of New Jersey, rooting for them as well.
And then some of the things that we do here is like our next one is August the 9th, where we do a read and feed where every child from 0 to 18 gets $20 worth of our children's book for free. Thank you to the community for keeping us here almost 35 years. We closed down the back of our store, which is 2.5 blocks, and we make it free for all melanated vendors because we didn't know they have to pay for licensing fees and vendors fees. What money are they making? So we're passing the blessing on to the community by opening it up for free for them.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing we do is book clubs. We love
to read
historical fiction. And the book club that we're doing next month, August, is James by Percival Everett. I don't know if anybody ever heard of it, but it won a Pulitzer for Best Book of the Year. And it's the story of Huckleberry Finn through, it was Tom Sawyer, and then they had the slave man that they called Jim or Nigger Jim. We had to read that in school, remember? Well, in this book, his name is James. So we're going to be reading James and having a conversation here, as well as New Jersey Pack. No, they backed out. Well, that's what they do. Okay. So that's just one of the things we do.
In addition to that, we put together our summer reads because everybody's like, oh, summertime, let's have our summer reads. What you're going to read this summer, going away, staying in town, whatever you do, you always like to sit out in the sun and read. So we put together a group for July, August, and September. And we'll do a winter read or a fall read as well. And this month, we just finished talking about the book Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. If you see this flyer, you see it has all 3 books. We had Kennedy Ryan. That was an excellent read, excellent discussion. And that's just it. You're welcome, whether you read the book or not, to come sit out, especially since it's the summertime. We set out chairs and table outside in the back, and we sit and discuss, and we fellowship, and we drink water and wine and have little crackers or so.
Y'all be drinking wine?
No, did I say wine?
Didn't they say Jesus turned water into wine? That's what you heard.
That's what I heard. But we sit back there, we have a good time. Everybody gets to just sit out, and sometimes we just need to sit. We really started about 5 o'clock, where you can just sit and read silently. And then we start the book club at 6 o'clock, and that's only once a month. So next month, next month is James, in which we just sold out all of that book. It'll come in again next week.
Can y'all see what Cafe just put in there? You gotta get my books.
You gotta get my books. I know. I you know what? It's all my fault. He knows. He knows it's my fault. It is, and I apologize. I'm most humbly. Please don't. I love Cafe. Okay, so
he put out a lot of them too.
Yes, sir. Yes, man. Yes, sir. So, but then next month, like Patrice said, we're gonna do James in the month of August, and then we do Isaac's song during September. and then we'll pick 3 more books for October, November, December. This way, you have a chance to read it. And even if you don't get to read it, you can come in and sit. And yes, Queen Mother Amaku, we will work on that too. But we get to sit and just come in and just come fellowship. Some people like never been a part of a book club, so they're like don't know what to expect. But we do all kinds of things. I used to be a teacher, so I put up questions and quizzes and make it not just like who did you like, why did you like. We got to get really into it because that's how you make it. You get to grow from the thought.
You a teacher now. Kafele really gonna get in your behind.
I know he is. I know he knows I love him. He knows.
And some of the other things we do is, I don't know if you heard of Mia. Well, you heard of Mia X. She's the poet laureate. She does open mic poetry in the summer, the last Wednesday of every month. So the next one will be on the 30th of this month. So it's right outside. It's free. And we do poetry as well as Reading Under the Stars.
With the mayor.
With the mayor and Reverend Rountree.
Yes.
Reading Under the Stars.
And Reading Under the Stars is just books being given out to the children in the community. We try to.
You saw it. Wait a minute. My favorite. Okay, one of my favorite. Let me be careful. Principal Kafele is saying he wrote 44 books. Now we got to get busy with Principal Kafele. We got to.
Yes.
That's our own. And then Queen Mother said mine too. He said he wrote 44 books.
14.
Oh, wait a minute. You know, I got no. I'm speaking the other 30 that's on the way. They in his head.
I know. I'm ordering it this week.
Let's say at least get one of them in there. He got 44. He got 14 ready and 30 on the way. He got a
That's what it is. That's what it is.
That's exactly what it is.
So 14 books.
Yes.
14.
Yes.
I know it's 14, but y'all get them 14. We can go ahead and write some more for y'all to sell.
Okay, this next book I'm about to show, don't judge me, please, but it's my favorite for 2025. Sky Full of Elephants. If you never heard it, get it. Imagine if you wake up tomorrow and everybody white in America done killed themselves. They went into water of lakes and rivers and ocean and just drowned themselves. What would America look like with just us?
Is there a line for that book?
Huh?
Is there a long line for that book?
It keeps selling
out. But it's very historical because you learned about Haitian culture. You learn the importance of Mobile, Alabama, what it played during the time of our slavery for our freedom. Yes. Sky Full of Elephants.
Yeah, it really is.
One more I'm going to show y'all. The Yellow Wife. I know y'all know Virginia State University. That used to be called the Devil's Half Acre. I want y'all to look this up. It used to be the worst prison in the South. Yeah, slave prison in the South. But the man took a liking to this woman. Huh?
Virginia was a breeder state.
Yes, it was. He took a liking to this woman, Phoebe Dolores Brown. So you'll learn about her story in this book. So all our book club books are historical fiction. So you learn as well as having a good story. And most of the times the authors are here if they're in the area.
Wait. Now didn't y'all have this is the centennial of Malcolm X. Didn't y'all have one of them Malcolm books last week?
Yes, we did. We did.
The Dead of Rising.
Yes. With Tamara Payne. And she was right on stage and she did an awesome conversation with her moderator, Brother Zaid. They did
moderator just caused trouble.
And that was, if you wasn't here for that, you missed that presentation. Yes, that was amazing.
But don't worry, we have signed copies.
That's right. So if you get it,
yes.
Get it down because you'll get she signed a bunch of everybody.
It's a really good. I started it. It's a really good read and makes you think and let you know what her father, his research. He really got some good information. Was able to put it together.
And she was able to finish it, which was good, which was very good.
I call that his historical rescue mission.
Yes, yes.
This was a good one. Yes.
Now, and y'all supposed to be a part of the big important meeting coming up. Tell us about that.
Which one?
Important meeting.
Which one?
And there's supposed to be some family meeting that y'all in, or some business meeting. What y'all supposed to be in?
August 22nd.
Yeah.
August 22nd.
Yeah.
You know what? Roundtree, you better maybe lay
Let me
that
go
out.
get my calendar.
What
That's
we got
why
planned
Randy
that you didn't tell me
Buck's on
about August 22nd
I
besides?
don't know. I don't have anything down for August. What you have down for us for Ed on August 22nd? Because this is something that y'all decided that we're going to be in.
I want y'all to know I
And
find
that's all
out
good.
2 days maybe before the event that we're having.
I don't mind. August 22nd. I don't have anything. Wait a minute. No, that's the, what's the name? August 22nd. Something is on August 22nd because I think somebody told me something just yesterday or so, or the day before. What is it in?
I think what we'll do is we better let Roundtree tell us. She just told us
Right.
that you guys were going to talk about it. So
It's closed. We're closed. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
my bad.
Yeah. No. We're closed. I think I locked that door. 10
Yeah,
o'clock. Let me lock it.
You too. What's on the 22nd?
Oh, y'all
Is
Now,
gone?
tell them about the 22nd.
that the she did
Roundtree.
Yes.
Tell them about the 22nd. They don't know what it is.
Who don't know about it? August 22nd, we're having the mayor's family meeting.
Oh
And
yes. The
Ah,
mayor's
they
family meeting.
know about
She
it.
just told us about it today. We
No, I didn't
got
just tell you about it. I invited you to be a
you
speaker.
invited us today.
Speakers on it today
you forgot
with
already?
Brother Nuri, Brother Josiah. The mayor has the men's meetings. This is meeting. Important as that.
She's in the street. She's going in and out. She's struggling. But y'all got it.
I
now,
am
right?
struggling.
Right? August 22nd is a family meeting.
Yes.
When she comes in,
Uh-oh.
where's that?
There we go.
Yeah. Now, where's it going to be on the 22nd, Roundtree?
The Priority on West Market Street.
All right.
Yeah.
That's something to definitely look forward to.
Yes. Get our families together. Gotta invite the mothers, the fathers, single families, out, whatever. Family. Whatever's family to you. Whatever's family. I'm so excited. I'm so excited about what is going on in our city. Listen, nothing's perfect. Nothing is perfect. But right now, Brother Ed, there's some topics I know you have that you might want to bring up while we got Masani on this line that speak to the quality of life, that speak to our mental health, that speak to our struggles, that speak to while in 2025, nobody believed Project 25 was going to be what it is. But I know no matter what the circumstances are, tomorrow we'll be dealing with the statewide Black agenda. The second, Mayor Baraka, along with some special guests, Dr. Charles Boyer, and some other individuals. The truth is, they will be talking and having conversations. Some folks act like we are not in the room, and you know who we are, and you know who some folks are, and we are in the room. Matter of fact, some of us built some of these rooms. So, the truth is, while we built the room, you want to keep us out the room that we built. You know, this ain't the house that Jack built. This is the house that we built. You know, and it's necessary to have these conversations about a black agenda. It's really important. And it doesn't mean that black mean, yes, I'm black and I'm proud and all of that is good. Humanity is important to me because we're not the only ones suffering. We're the only ones that are eliminated in the plan when they start working on how we're going to bring people out of suffrage. So tomorrow at 5:30 in Long Branch, New Jersey, 93 Liberty Avenue, Second Baptist Church, where Pastor Terrence Dunlap is the pastor. The mayor will be hosting his second meeting for a second statewide meeting on the Black agenda. Looking for all of you that can make it down there. So please come. It's back in your hands, Brother Ed, Sister Masani, Brother Baba. I just opened up the conversation for agenda. Somebody got something to say about the agenda? The Black agenda.
Somebody grab that. What's woman's name? Running for governor. Grab that Mickey Sherrill and tell her to get with the program.
That's all right. So today the lieutenant governor was named.
You know him? Tell us about him.
Of course, Reverend Dale. Listen, there's a whole lot about him. And there's some people, he's a highly respected faith leader and highly educated. He's government-wise. Listen, that's all I'm going to say for now. That's all I can say.
Lieutenant Governor for Mikey?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Mikey Sherrill selected Dale Caldwell to be her lieutenant governor, her running mate.
Where is he from?
He's Methodist pastor. He's from here. He's not from Newark. He's from New Jersey.
Right.
But he was from Newark. Did a lot of work in Newark. His father's from another state. This is what I always tell people. Google everything you can about a person if you ain't never heard of him.
Mm-hmm.
Everything.
But he's community based. He's community based.
Well, just Google everything you can about him.
Boy.
I'm not saying he's not, and I'm not saying he is, because everybody's perception of what community based is might be different. Yeah. Good brother. I've known him. And his dad, I'm just saying, I'm not his dad, known him, but I'm just saying, like, like I just waiting right now. Not gonna wait too long, but just waiting to hear some things. I don't ever jump ahead of my leader or the leader. I didn't do it. I don't do it in the church, and I don't do it in government. I would never ever step aside or over or around the leader of this city. And in the church, I didn't do it when we had a pastor. Whatever the leader. Now, when there's absence of a leader, then I move on my own. So there's some things that don't require me to have to wait on a leader, that I can just go ahead because I am my own person. And I am a free woman, by the way. And I say that because I've never wanted to be in a position where I am is predicated on where you are or who you are. I want to always be able, no seat I've had is because, God just showed me favor through individuals for my assignments, and my assignments came straight from the Spirit. They did not come from the man in the back room, or, God in his infinite wisdom moved on the heart of man to I know where they message from. And
she must be in a bad spot. You know what? Reverend Roundtree speaks about the Black agenda and that meeting that's going to take place tomorrow. And it's really important that we have a Black agenda for all these politicians that's going into office, running for office, so they know that these are things that we deserve and we demand. And we need to have that agenda in every political realm that's out there. And that meeting that Mayor's going to tomorrow is very important. We need to be there in this new lieutenant governor in order so that we don't have things that happen where people can come and push their agenda in our faces without knowing that you're disrespecting us if you haven't asked us what's our agenda.
That's right.
You shouldn't be able to come to Newark and act like it's okay to walk around in our face
Wow. Yes.
without addressing us personally and acting. Because if you want to lead us, then you need to come and talk to us. And we need to make sure we need to have a 10-point black agenda so that people know, like, no, yeah, we want this and we want that and that. We want education, we want housing, we want jobs, we want placement, we want, and we want to make sure that we're, treated with respect, and we want to let them know, no, you don't just get my vote because I'm registered in that party. You have to come. You have to come and court us. And that's what we as a people have allowed them not to do so many years. Court us.
Yeah. Yep. They don't court us, baby. You know what they do? You know them. Listen, I don't even want to start that. That's a whole nother conversation. Court us. You know them one night, buy me a Happy Meal
Yes.
and I'll be satisfied.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm just hungry for them. I ain't gonna worry about feed what I'm gonna eat next week. Thank you for the meal today. You know,
Don't teach me to fish. Just give
yeah.
me
Give
it.
me that
I
fish
buy
for
you
the
a
day.
fish sandwich. But say, listen, I buy you a fish sandwich. I'll feed you today. I'll teach you how to fish. You can eat for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. Like, some people don't want us to learn how to fish. You know, they want to keep spoon feeding us. And because one thing I can say about people when I was running for office, people say, so what promises you make? And I said, none.
That's being real. That's being real.
Something must be wrong with the sound.
Yeah,
Need
that
to be
sound
broken.
Well,
Can
as
you
we
guys
go
hear me?
wind down, what to Masani, Patrice, any last
Hello?
reminders or takeaways? We hear you now. We hear you now. You froze a little bit.
Yes. We just
Oh,
want to
let me ask you
remind
this first.
you.
Hold up. Before y'all do your takeaways, we got to ask you the ritual question, because you never get the ritual question when y'all come on. I don't know why, right? But this is a hip hop political talk show, right? Who are y'all listening to in the land of hip hop to keep you going dealing with crazy people walking into your store every day?
Epa.
You know,
You can talk to her.
I have children. I'm feeling Kendrick Lamar right now. I really am.
They
All
not
right.
like
And not
us?
just that song, just like us, the other music that he's doing. That's a deep brother.
Yep.
I like Kendrick Lamar.
I did all that.
Okay, because you didn't know what else to say, right?
You know that. That's right. How are you gonna pretend? But no, Kendrick does have some stuff good. And after the Super Bowl and different things, I've heard more of his music, and I was like, oh wow, he did that. I said, that's interesting. That's cool. And it gave me a lot more respect for him.
Yeah.
Good to have y'all on. It's good to have y'all on. Queens, y'all
Thank
gonna
you
wrap
for
it up?
having us.
We just want to remind you and spread the word, please. Next month, August 9th, we're doing a read and feed where we're giving away $20 worth of our children books for free. The sister down the street, Adina, who owns the IHOP, supplies breakfast for the whole community at 10 a.m. Pancakes, turkey sausage, and hash browns. Our guest next month, will be Dr. Umar Johnson. So that's going to be from 10 to 6, and we're going to have yoga.
We also have
Your mother does the yoga, right? Who else does the yoga?
And
Yota
did
does
yes.
yoga.
And I'm gonna have Queen Mother Amaku do some things also.
Some chair yoga, yes. Phenomenal.
So there's a lot of different things. We have a lot of local talent. Last month's local talent was amazing. And that's when we have poets as well as singers come through. It's not just about the speaking, and it's about really giving us a feeling of family and community.
Did you say Zaire was going to pull up?
Yes, he is. Baba is going to come and pour libations in the morning. We're going to get there
I'm gonna do a step and fetch it on y'all. Did I ask for work?
thought we tried to slip that in.
Yeah, I never get there early enough. Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
get there.
come for the noonday.
August
No.
9th, by the way, listen. I want y'all to appreciate this. You may want to add something to the mix. August 9th is the anniversary of the signing of the Voting Rights Act. 50th anniversary of the signing of the Voting Rights Act. So you may want to add that to the mix of your activities.
Yes.
While y'all put that, I want to thank.
It is also Black August.
Yeah, it's Black. Yeah, I know it's Black August.
I also want to thank Reverend Louise Rountree, because had it not been for her, we wouldn't have that street closure or that DJ for next month. So thank you, Reverend Rountree.
Listen,
Thank
I'm
you for
always be
always
there.
support. Always support. Even though when we tell you the day before and you get to yelling at me, I know it's love.
Y'all know I'm not no. Listen, I'll do last minute because if I can make it happen, but you know what I don't ever want, and this is something we like certain things last minute because of emergency, but when you have a certain way you rock, and you don't ever want people to say she waited to the last. They ain't gonna say it about you. They don't know you asked me last minute. For all they know, I forgot to do it 2 months ago, and I'm just giving it to them. They don't.
Masani forget a lot.
Huh? Say what?
I said Masani forget a lot.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about her. Because when I do the request, I tell them I stay at the same thing. I said, if I give you do it 2 days later.
Yeah,
You know,
we're also doing.
it's my rep. It's me. It's me. They're gonna say.
Well, I have you. We're also
I'll do
doing.
anything for these sisters.
We'll do anything for you too, sis.
Yes.
We do anything. That's
All
we have to.
I know.
You know.
Wait a
Well, we
minute.
also
Wait a
have,
minute. Hold on.
festivals.
Let me add legal and ethical. Hold on, Masani and Patrice. Legal and ethical, because legal.
That's right.
Legal and ethical. So when you say you do anything, people will take that out of context. Brother Ed Riley, Esquire.
Right now, something
Yeah.
on Facebook saying something else. But September, we're also doing back to school book giveaway, book bags, school supplies, all for the children, as well as books. So we'll come out in we'll do this in September as well.
I got an idea for that. I'll save it for later though.
Good.
Okay, good. You know, I take all your suggestions.
Stop lying.
Well, listen, August 6th, while we're in August, August 6th, me and myself and Assemblywoman Cleopatra Tucker will be hosting, thanks to First Lady Linda Baraka, a health fair, free dental screenings, free eyes. I should say no cost, because ain't nothing free but salvation. But no cost eye exams, no cost dental exams, no cost medical screenings from 10 to 2 at the Kruger Scott Mansion. The Newark Conservancy will be talking about healthy living and proper vegetables that do certain things. Of course, TRX is there. University Hospital is providing the lunch, but this is August 6th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Myself, Assemblywoman Tucker, and of course, I always love the fact that Linda Baraka, First Lady Linda Baraka, who just had a successful African Afrobeat festival. Yeah, just phenomenal, phenomenal. We listen, never lose sight of who you are and whose you are and where you came from. And pray that we continue to realize that health is wealth, wealth is good health, and that we take care of ourselves. That we, when you say there's no cost for you to get your eyes checked, no cost for you to get your teeth checked, whatever you have left, if it's not good, go ahead and get it fixed, because there's a way that you can now find out at no cost through the city of Newark. The city of Newark is offering this state of New Jersey is offering the eye exams for Assemblywoman Cleopatra Tucker. So I thank you all. We still have our Veterans Office open. The mayor will be hosting. Please watch out. Community conversations for every ward. I see that our Sarge, I know y'all hear music in the back of downtown Lincoln Park now. Y'all have been to Vauxhall. Y'all have been to Irvington.
We'll
Now
be there
y'all
in a minute.
downtown Newark.
I'll be downtown in a minute.
Yeah.
I want to say thank y'all for making me feel so comfortable. Zaid and Masani and everybody know I don't do these interviews because I'm shy when it comes to this, but y'all made me feel very comfortable. And I want to say thank you.
We love you. This was ladies' night. This was
Yeah.
ladies' night.
Yeah.
Ladies' night. My two sisters. Yeah.
All right,
All right,
y'all.
y'all. Well, we appreciate y'all coming through, and thank you. Any final words, Sister Balena?
No.
Okay.
Somebody said something about somebody said something about yoga on the feet when they was talking.
Come on
We're
over.
actually doing it tomorrow. We're going to be doing. She's going to be here tomorrow. She's going to do it Saturday. We're cleaning up our community center back. Zaid, we getting it back.
Okay, right
I'm
on.
going to have the
Okay.
community center, but in the meantime, while we're getting it back together, we're going to do it right outside in the back. Get your mats, and we're going to do yoga right there at
Y'all do it every
10:30.
Saturday? Y'all do it every
Yes,
Saturday?
every Saturday, and then when the weather changes, we're going to move it upstairs.
Okay, so I'm gonna see y'all next Saturday because tomorrow we're gonna be at Dunhart Park in Maplewood with our workout, with our mental health and wellness ministry. So we're gonna be there working out tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
Yes, ma'am.
But I will see y'all next Saturday at y'all spot for yoga.
Okay,
Okay, y'all.
thank you. Thank you.
All right, y'all. Thank you, everybody. All right, there it is, y'all. That's
Wait a minute. What happened to brother? Where's Jonathan tonight? Since he got married, he not on time tonight?
He got married. Got
Listen,
married.
Teaching at Harvard.
you didn't know he got married, Masani?
Oh, but that's why he not here.
Oh no, he was here since he been married. I don't know where he is now to cut us off
Okay.
this line and pull down the gavel and say we 8 minutes over. He'd be like, "Okay, thank you, disciples. It's been good, and it's time to go." Baba
Y'all both
Zaid,
occupied that time right there.
Great talk.
listen.
Good to see everybody.
It's so good. I know that Baba was excited when he saw your two beautiful faces, my two sisters. So me, Balena, listen, assalamu alaikum to my brother, Minister Haqq Muhammad. We love you. We missed you tonight. But between me, Lady Balena, and Baba, you sort of chilled tonight. You didn't, when I come on, sometimes you're not as strong. Maybe I just didn't use the right word and didn't bring
You
up,
came
because I
in
could
on
say
fire.
some.
I didn't have to do much.
Listen. When you've been to 3 funerals and when you've been to 5 funerals in 1 week, you better stay on fire. How about that? It's Friday. I went to just 3 yesterday. A janaza and 2 funerals. Yes.
Yeah.
Which lets me know that time is short, that none
Yes.
of us are here to stay. And life be
Yes.
lifing. You better live while you can live, not just, just not breathe. Live.
Yes.
There's a song, Balena, they said, you're gonna live to see it happen. You're gonna live to see it happen. I want to live to see all I'm supposed to see happen.
That's right. That's right.
And when
As
it's
his
over, that
journey
means
would
some
be
of the
with
stuff
your
that I
life.
wanted to, that's it. That's it. And then there's another songwriter that put pen to paper that said, as long as you're alive, there's war. That's another songwriter. These are Rich Talbert. These are individuals that put pen to paper to encourage us, young, black, female, male, children, to understand that no matter what's going on in this world, we are truly in charge of our destiny, with the exception of those who have mental challenges, that are differently abled, There are many reasons why the progress, but I've seen some people that don't have. Look at Stevie Wonder. Come on here, Ray Charles. That Ray had some issues, and I'm sure Brother Stevie did too. But we use all types of excuses in life
Yes.
to not realize how valuable life is.
Amen.
Left the hospital today with a young man who has an addiction problem. I said, "Do you want?" I just went cold on him, Bob. I said, "Look, you got a 14-year-old son. Should I go and tell your mother just go get her black dress? Because unless you understand," he was like, "You know, you're right." I was like, "Ain't nobody ever told you that your mother can go get her black dress now if you don't change your life?" And I don't know, that came straight from God, because people sometimes need a reality check. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. But I'm proud of these brothers on this line, because they do their best day after day. Brother Ham, Raz J. Baraka, Ryan Hager. There's so many brothers doing different work out here. Bashir, they doing it. Brother Principal Kafele, Dr. Kalfani, and then we got the beautiful sisters, Masani and Patrice, and Queen Mother Immaculate and Balena Ali. Come on here. All right, isn't somebody else supposed to be coming on at 7 o'clock?
Yeah, they already.
They waiting. Thank you, and
Thank you.
y'all have a good blessed
Thank you
weekend.
for joining us on the Disciples tonight. We look forward to seeing you next month. Everyone have a wonderful and blessed
Have a nice
rest of
weekend.
July. Continued Lady Pretty Kim that makes Brother Ed look so good. What's up, Lady Kim, wherever you are? We love you, Minister Haqq Muhammad. Once again, I gather I'll see you on August 22nd, which is really the night we're supposed to be doing our show at 6 p.m. So I guess we'll be on the show from the Priority Restaurant during our family meeting. Yeah, that's it. God bless you all. Have a wonderful evening.
Good
Looking
night.
forward to seeing you soon.
Peace.
Oh.
All right. Good segment. Good segment as always. Good segment as always. Let's get ready to pivot, do a pivot and get ready for our next segment. I'm looking forward to Ray, Tariq, and Alex Vitale. Y'all come on in. Ray, it is Ray. Right, is Alex. Right on, y'all. How y'all doing? Welcome to All Politics and Local. Ray, welcome back. Alex, this is your first time joining us.
That's right.
We do. I'm glad we're finally getting this in, you know. And we're going to have time to, get into whatever we need to get into tonight, too. Don't be dismayed, because sometimes our conversations, they go. All right. Ours may go, too.
Freeform radio.
Yeah. Genuine community radio, because you see we be coming in from everywhere, right? Driving and all, we really coming in from doing what we do in the community, right?
Absolutely. Peace. Good evening, fellas.
Good to have you both. We're here, proud of both of you, of course, and what both of you do, and helping to bring clarity and peace and some love in this world, right? But we're also up against some stuff in terms of what we do. Alex, you have been busy on the writing front recently in several spaces, right? And you and Ray, and I'm going to try and put the link for the op-ed that y'all did together. And corporate journalism is a trip. They want when it gets people who need it the most, and the oppressed got to go through paywalls to get the story. That is so corny, right? But and it runs right through all the corporate media when they finally do get around to us a little bit. I'm gonna say that, okay? But you guys did a great piece. Without Tariq, and for everybody's benefit, Alex is the author of The End of Policing, right? We just heard our owners from Source of Knowledge Books. That book of his is in the bookstore. In fact, we walked in one day to make sure it was in there, and and it was right there, right? So if you want to get and invest in an important book that really sums up where we need to be going in this country around that big issue of over policing in this country and abolitionism and what all that means. You want to get his end of policing, and you can get it right there at the Source of Knowledge bookstore. So let's Alex, let me start with you because it's your first time on, and that's a big title to a big book on a big issue that people have big opinions about, and most of them be wrong because they ain't reading books, right? When you are talking to regular people of all stripes, right? What do you mean? Make it plain language when you say the end of policing, because when we first start a conversation like that, people think that all of us are crazy. Now I know I have some issues, and you could probably get me certified for some of that, right? But we actually mean something when we say the end of policing. Why don't you break that down and let that set the stage or help frame what you guys did together with your op-ed?
Absolutely. I think everybody knows that police are a source of danger for communities of color, for poor people, for people living on the margins of society. But at the same time, people feel like, well, but we need something to help keep us safe, to respond in emergencies. And so it puts people in this bit of a bind of trying to figure out what's best for them in a situation where the police cause so much harm in their own communities. So the way a lot of people have tried to resolve this is by embracing police reforms. Either a bunch of sort of procedural reforms like changes to training and use of force policies,
They say.
or body cameras, and or they embrace accountability mechanisms. We need a stronger civilian review board. We need to jail killer cops. We need to get rid of qualified immunity. The problem is that none of that stuff works. I've been studying policing around the world for over 30 years, and none of that stuff works. I mean, after the police murdered Mike Brown in Ferguson, Missouri, we were told policing was going to get fixed. We were going to get all these reforms. And a lot of cities, they invested millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars in these reforms. And the officers involved in the killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis had implicit bias training, de-escalation training, mindfulness training, were wearing body cameras, were operating under a new, more restrictive use of force policy, and it didn't make any difference, right? It did not save his life. And that's what we found. The police last year, killed more people than in any year in decades.
Yes.
So we need a different approach, right? We need to ask, why are we using police in the first place? To address what are mostly issues of poverty and social dislocation. So my view is that we need to double down on investing in communities, in both general well-being of communities, but also in very specific targeted interventions to address specific public safety issues, whether it's community violence, whether it's drug overdoses, whether it's people living on the streets, people engaged in commercial sex work, etc. All these things that we've turned to the police to help us manage, it turns out that they're not very effective, that they produce a lot of social harms when they do these things, and there are lots of things we could do instead. And so that's been my approach, is trying to figure out how we can get the police out of our lives in as many ways as we possibly can by replacing them with better interventions that try to heal people, lift people up, restore people, rather than brutalizing, humiliating, and tearing people down, which is basically what policing, jails, and prisons do.
Now, having said that, and you have been in some very prominent spaces and very profound community spaces advancing this conversation. All right. At the same time, we've got an electorate that just put somebody who may be certifiably, out of his mind in the White House, right? How in those across the aisle spaces, across the bridge spaces, how does this very same proposition that you just laid out, do you see a shift in how you're being received in other spaces like that, or things going the wrong way at the wrong time right now?
So, the thing about like public safety policy is that it is overwhelmingly a local issue, right? Police are local, police spending is a local matter. And the federal government historically and today actually plays very, very little role in public safety. And so we shouldn't look so much to national politics as a bellwether of what's happening, that we really need to look at the local. So, for instance, what very exciting here in New York, right? We just voted in the Democratic primary for a candidate who was the only person in the race who didn't talk about hiring more police, who instead proposed creating an office of community safety that would invest in exactly some of these real community-centered strategies for safety. So I think if we look around the country, what we'll see is that actually hundreds of cities have, for instance, created non-police mental health crisis response teams that are integrated into 911 systems, that are going on all kinds of mental health crisis calls that had historically been handled by police. And those calls generate between 1.5% of all police killings in the United States.
That's a lot.
Yeah. We're talking about every day someone having a mental health crisis is being killed by the police in the United States.
And I have to put a pin in that, because here in Jersey, we got over the finish line on paper, the Seabrooks Washington bill, but we have yet to get any resources put forward to implement Seabrooks Washington, so we can actually have that in place. And people are still getting popped off, like Victoria Lee was just killed, and no accountability coming from the Attorney General's office. Of course, that's true for the cause. Now let's back up, because I want to bring Ray into the conversation, right? And we start talking about community investment and whatnot. Where does and how does community-based violence intervention come into the conversation? Now, this is a Newark audience. Our base audience is from Newark, but we also have a very national reach. So for the benefit of folks who are trying to learn this thing and figure this out, in this spectrum of public having a voice and say in public safety, where does community-based violence intervention come in as a place for potential and important investment?
Well, Alex mentioned it. He mentioned that the community must play a bigger role. There has to be community responses when it comes to a lot of the violence happening in our community. Historically, law enforcement hasn't done a great job at that, because we know that individuals have been losing their lives to the hands of law enforcement. There's been that lack of cultural competency. Although, like Alex mentioned, they've had some of the training, but it's a lot of jingoism happening in our forces. And I'm going to always refer back to the beginnings and the etymology of policing in our community and where it started from. And I can't imagine that if something starts from an ill-intentioned foundation, that it would ever evolve into a space where folks actually or a group of people actually appreciate the lives of individuals versus subjugating them, punishing them, or otherwise. And that simply just doesn't work in the community, because if we continue on that path of punishment for individuals because we don't understand the trauma related to their either victimization or their so-called crimes, we'll continue this cycle of violence, and we'll continue this cycle of traumatization in our communities. Community violence or community-based public safety come into this space because we are literally trying to put public safety back in the hands of the public, back in the hands of the community. We're instilling and supporting community with the social responsibility that is implicitly instilled in them, but also their responsibility. And once the community recognizes and owns that responsibility because it's been like relinquished to them from law enforcement, and we no longer move forward with the adage that law enforcement are the stakeholders of public safety, I think we're moving in the right direction. Of course, we have a long ways to go, but I think that we've had many successes. We're making significant strides, especially in the city of Newark. We do want to take the credit. Yeah, we absolutely. So we want to take the credit, not all the credit, but we want to take the credit for a lot of the violence that's been reduced significantly within the last decade, consistently, because a lot of individuals have either joined in this work and become change agents, or they're going back into their community coming from that side of the street, and they're getting their comrades and brothers and sisters to push the narrative of peace. So that's ultimately how community safety and the community plays a role into this conversation. And I think as we continue to move forward, we'll continue to see major strides. But we do need those resources. And make no mistake about it, family, we're not up here screaming abolition at this point. That's not the position that we're taking. Right now, we're pushing that complementary strategy with the hopes that one day we'll get to the point where guns and the police in the way that it's been in the last century, that no longer has to be the practice in our communities.
That's right. That's right. Let me ask you this. Well, I want you to look forward to something, and then I'll come back to where we were on the conversation, because I'm just stream of consciousness stuff that I'm going on. Somebody mentioned Black Wall Street in our last segment. Ray, I want you to look forward to the opportunity to engage and train some of our folks from that very community, right? Terrence Crutcher was the Hands Up, Don't Shoot case in Tulsa, Oklahoma. His twin sister is a bad sister. Dr. Tiffany Crutcher built up the Terrence Crutcher Foundation in her brother's name and has become a force in that community around the question of reparations, restorative justice. Alex, you'll love it out there, right? And want to move into community-based violence intervention for all, and they're doing great stuff on economic rehabilitation. They bought out a whole big mall and paid the mortgage already, trying to rebuild that space in terms of its former economic viability that it was coming to. So I want you to look forward to that conversation, because I was with her in Atlanta, at a special convening that was done for them by the Legal Defense Fund to help them figure out that conversation. They had the misfortune of having a gun violence incident at their Juneteenth, right? So that really blew them away, because that was the kind of thing that you just would not expect to happen at that kind of space and time, and given that community's history. But it was a cold-blooded reality check that none of us are immune from this. And they have the infrastructure to really build out something special there, right? So just look forward to that. I just want to put that in your ear, because I haven't had a chance to put that in your ear yet in the last couple of weeks, right? Now, you guys just pinned a powerful op-ed in the Ledger. Let's talk about that. And I guess underneath that, Alex, is the question that you just made a point earlier about the need to not depend so much on the national political environment for where we should be going with this, but to really be looking more locally. We may have made a mistake. I don't know. It's a question with this big push that we made during the Biden administration, which led to a big pull of some important resources that helped build the work in a lot of places, right? But all of a sudden, the crazy man comes in and it's gone, just like that, right? And where help was being had, healing was being had, now we got some fresh harm that should not be coming from this particular space called the Justice Department. Let's talk about your op-ed and why that's important, and what that means to how we were hurt locally on the ground.
Well, maybe I'll say something about sort of the national context, and Ray can talk a little bit about what the concrete impacts were in Newark. So, as a result of pressure from community-based movements around the country, significant money was put into community-based anti-violence work by the Biden administration. It's one of the more, I think, positive things he did, even though at the same time he gave many billions more to police. That often undermines the work that CVI groups are doing. But that money, it was hard not to get excited about it. But it does raise exactly the question you put forward, right? Which is that, have we really done the work in our own backyard? Why is it that we don't have local resources sufficient to really take on some of these things? I think it was a kind of shortcut. Oh, let's just jump over and see if Biden will save us. But if we don't do that local work, and I'm not just talking about Newark, where, of course, the mayor helped create big parts of the infrastructure for community violence reduction, but in other parts of the country as well, right? They have not been able to shore up adequate local support. And that's true here in New York City as well. And so I think that one of the interesting things that Newark Community Street Team does that most other CVI groups don't do is they consciously engage in public education and outreach. They have the Sentinel program, they're doing the community walks, and I think this is actually quite unusual at a national level. So I do think that if we're going to have stable sources of funding, we have to really have streams of funding at the local, state, national level and through philanthropy. And we really, I think a lot of people are learning that it's a mistake to rely primarily on just one source of funding.
Indeed. And being fully transparent, the organization that I work for is literally sunsetting in 2 weeks, right? Equal Justice USA is best known for Trauma to Trust program. Made that mistake, and it turned out to be a deadly one. Equal Justice USA will cease to exist as we knew it by the end of next month, right? And those of us who are like elders in the mix of trying to help this, we got a good talent, and Ray, pay attention. We got a good pool of talent. If you need some fresh talent, coming out of our ranks to help do the work, but that's a question mark because these funds hit locally too, right? And I want to come right to one particular point. Explain to everybody what high risk intervention is, where you were before the cuts came, and what the cuts did to that critically cutting edge dimension of the work.
Yes. High-risk intervention are the individuals that engage in the community, individuals that were once on that other side of the street, justice impacted or otherwise, individuals that have significant relationships in the community. They're the vanguards of the work. That's the crux of community violence intervention work, violence interrupters, high-risk interventionists, whatever it is that we choose to call them around the country, the individuals that have the ability and the license to operate in many of the communities most in need. So before the cuts, we were at a staff of about 16 to 18 high-risk interventionists operating in according to protocol in teams of 4 so that they engage, that their coverage is with them, the engager is there, and the person is watching the back of the engager. Since the cuts on the federal level and the local level, because it came from the city first, we're down to 4 high-risk interventions. Actually, we're down to 3 and 1 supervisor. So that's a huge hit for us. We lost funding in 2 major departments, which was CVIPI and our Stop the School Violence site, where we were able to check in at the school at one of our alternative schools here in Newark, and then our Community Violence Intervention Program initiative, which was the CVIPI. Once we obtained that grant, it allowed us to cover the entire city. So we were able to significantly increase our staff of high-risk intervention throughout the city. And with the loss of that, we had to reduce that staff. And so that lack of coverage and that lack of relationships, or that loss of relationships, it's a big hit to the team. We still trekking. We're going to continue to work. We're going to continue to connect with folks that either former staff or individuals that we develop relationships with, but it's extremely hard to cover all several wards with 3 to 4 individuals specifically working on that project. So that's a big challenge. And so, like Alex mentioned, like locally, we have to continue to keep more than one iron in the fire. We have to continue to prospect. We have to continue to receive funding or to try to receive funding from local, philanthropic, national, and otherwise, because just relying on one just won't do it. And sometimes we just never know when that's going to get cut. But we can't pull that security blanket from under our communities, bodies like that. And so we had to continue to like push this thing forward with what we have, with the hopes that things will get better.
16-4 is a big cut.
Major cut.
It's
Major
a big cut. And those are our best soldiers where we're needed the most, on the streets where we have to really be concerned about, pardon my language, shit popping off.
Absolutely. Those are the individuals that had the capabilities of doing it. Everybody doesn't have a license to operate. And that's something that I want to go on record to be clear of. Everybody that claims to do this work, if you do not have a license to operate, you cannot rightfully say you're a high-risk interventionist or you're a community violence interventionist. That does not mean that you're not an outreach worker. That does not mean that you're not a victim advocate. That does not mean that you cannot serve in your community. But as with regards to stopping the shooting, stopping the killing, stopping the robbery, stopping the car theft, if you do not have a license to operate in the community, that means if the individuals that would be perpetrators do not respect your call, you do not do high-risk intervention work. You cannot do high-risk intervention work. And I want that to be clear.
Very clear. That's very important to appreciate. I want to shout out a giant in that work, because he comes from, we share the same political lineage, great Akil Bashir, right, who's the gold standard for how high-risk intervention is supposed to be done and how folks are supposed to be trained and certified to do this work. My little brother Damon likes to say, this ain't yo-yo chill. You got to know what you're doing going into these spaces where folks are strapped, angry, misguided, and are making some deadly mistakes.
Absolutely.
Cost your life and cost somebody else their life if you're messing with what you're doing. Absolutely. So we needed to hear that.
Yeah. And those protocols or procedures that we receive from the commander, priceless.
Absolutely.
Priceless. And we cannot have folks out here putting their lives in danger, putting their community, their colleagues' lives in danger, because they think that this is the new trend and that they can just come off the porch and start doing this work, operating outside of protocol and just according to somebody else's call. So that's extremely important.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. Now, it's summertime. Go ahead. Hey, jump in. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I before you ask that question, I just wanted to ask Alex one question based around what he said that, when he was talking about the real issue is not policing, but the real issue in our community is a matter of poverty. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, well, one of the things we know is that things like community violence is highly concentrated in the country's poorest communities. Now, this doesn't mean that everybody who's poor is out there robbing people or shooting people. We know that the vast majority of poor people don't do that. But the people who do engage in that behavior come from these highest needs communities. And they're typically folks who've experienced high levels of trauma, or what we call adverse childhood experiences, which could include things like malnutrition, abuse in the home, untreated physical and mental health issues, etc. And so ultimately, while we need these high-risk interventionists, we need mediations, we need real-time intervention, ultimately, if we're going to really create healthy and safe communities, then we have to invest in higher wages, in housing security, in high quality medical services, which of course are the kinds of things that make white leafy suburbs in New Jersey nice places to live, right? They're not safe because there's a police officer on every street corner. Those places are safe because people have good jobs and a safe place to live and medical insurance and the whole 9 yards.
And if I can just add on to that,
go ahead. Come on, Ray.
If I can just add on to that, when it comes to when it comes to some of our impoverished community or communities that are dealing with a certain amount of poverty. While there's a certain amount of survival tactics that's developed with lack of resources, the perpetuation of lack of resources and the way some of our young people interpret that, that survival mode is on the other side. It makes them feel like we have to have this crab in the barrel idea. And then on top of that, when high-risk interventionists are engaging individuals in the community that no longer want to participate in the violence, that no longer want to participate in mass incarceration, the question always is, well, what do I do next? And so that's where that poverty piece comes in. This is why we need those resources, whether it's trainings, whether it's schoolings, whether it's the trade schoolings or otherwise, like an influx of resources. It doesn't always look like money. It looks like resources, exactly what we're asking for. And communities that are deficient of that is what we're talking about when we're talking about impoverished community. We're not just talking about individuals that don't have a dollar. We're talking about individuals that are resource deserts. And that is a problem. That's a major problem because we're trying to get, and I think we touched on it a little bit earlier, like what comes next after community violence intervention. And I like to say community development. So I'm glad, brother Zaid, that you mentioned that, because that community development piece is extremely important, because these individuals that are putting their guns down and abstaining from participating in violence, they want a piece of the community that they grew up in, that they're raising their children in. That they may very well die in. So it's not good enough. And we can't offer these empty promises like you move away from the life that you used to live that provided a certain amount of resources for you, whether it be good or bad. We want to help you in a real way. So that trade-off, like let them get their own homes. Let them be some of the people that's building some of these buildings in the community. Let them obtain the self-actualization that would keep them away from violence indefinitely. And not just for a summer or a couple of summers.
But can I ask you a question, Ray? Around let me ask you a question around one of the things Alex talked about as well. He was talking about all the money that was being spent in terms of all of the different training that police officers are going through and all of the equipment and upgrade of equipment. Would you say, from your perspective, then, based on what Mayor Baraka did when he took 5% of the police budget and invested it, of course, into the Office of Violence and Prevention and Trauma, do you think that that particular model that we use in Newark is the model that should be used around the country? Because if all that money is being invested, and one of the things Alex said is that police officers have killed more civilians this year than any other year, it would seem to me that the money is being ill spent, and that the money should be spent in the area of the work that you all are doing, because that's where it seems to be most needed, and it seems to be that's where we're having success at. So that whole idea of not needing police or police needing to be defunded, it seems to be that's what we should be talking about.
So I'm not against that. And I will say, to your point, nothing changes if nothing changes. So if individuals aren't incentivized to change, if they continue to receive an influx of funding in spite of the casualties, then that's a problem in and of itself. It's like absolutely insane that they continue, because where's the incentive to change? There is no incentive to change. If nothing is changing about their budget or otherwise, while there's still all these casualties coming on the side of our other public safety professionals being law enforcement, then they won't change. To your point around the question whether the mayor is doing the right thing, whether we're on the right track with receiving the funding, yes, in essence, yes. There's a few more details and some tweaks that need to be happening there. But in essence, most certainly, because the community should play a bigger role in safety in their community, because we live there. Our children have to be raised there. And it can't be this us against them syndrome. And historically, and because of the background of law enforcement and community, it has been a us versus them thing. And there is no way that we can continue to grow in a space of peace while we maintain a us versus them. And that funding of bad behavior perpetuates that.
And can I just add, like, if we bring back in the federal level, right? The decision by Trump and his administration to cut this funding, to cut other essential funding like Medicaid for poor communities. He wants poor people to shoot each other. He wants their communities to be miserable places to live, right? He wants people to be living in desperation. He's trying to set these communities up for failure. It's not an accident. It's not an afterthought. That's his goal. That's his vision. That he is, inflicting this violence on the community intentionally, in part because he can then use that to say those people are out of control, so you got to keep putting people like me in charge to keep them, quote unquote, in their place, right? This is racism 101. This has been used against communities of color for generations, and we need to see through that and name it for what it is.
Right on to that. Right on to that. Right. Ed, you want to do a follow-up question?
Yeah, first off, I completely, you guys are blowing me away, because we're getting ready to go into another conversation as it relates to a young man who, was viciously stopped by the police in Florida, a 22-year-old man in a traffic situation. And just the idea of some of the things that you all are raising, especially when you were talking, Ray, around all this training, all this money that's being spent, and that just doesn't seem to be working. So and like you said, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I mean, that's, and it would seem to me that we need to be talking about something else, and particularly if you spending billions and billions of dollars in this thing and it's not working, and then one of the main things that you do when you come into office is you immediately begin to cut the budgets of those things that are working. That to me just seems like it's insane. And what we see now is that we see that those kinds of attacks and that kind of violence is again on the rise. Listen, I would welcome you guys if you have the time, if you want to stay through the next segment, because one of the brothers that's going to join us, you may know him, Dr. Delacy Davis, is one of the exceptional brothers from our community who's going to talk with us about what occurred in Florida. And as you know, one of the things is that brother Dr. Delacy Davis, his record is beyond reproach with the information and the help that he's provided to keeping countless of us alive. So you guys are more than welcome to stay. He's going to be coming up because I think that you guys can add some valuable things to that conversation if you want to stay.
I'll hang out for a few minutes. I'm kind of waiting on something, so I may have to jump off at some point.
And that's cool. That's cool. Right. All right, we'll go ahead and set it up, Ed. You said they're here.
So what we want to do is we want to introduce that, and what I just want to read a little bit of what was in the paper down there in Florida, and just let you guys hear some of what was going on, because you all know now that Ben Crump is now taking over the case. I'll read a little bit of that, and of course I'll introduce Dr. Delacy Davis, and of course one of my good friends who's also a father of a 22-year-old. I was having some conversations with Scott today, and just some of the things that he was saying, I think speaks to how all of us feels as a father, and some of the things that perhaps would move our actions in that direction. So before I introduce those folks, but of course y'all know Dr. Delacy Davis doesn't need, particularly those of us who are in this work, doesn't need an introduction from me. He could probably give all of us an introduction with all of the time he spent on the ground. But let me just share this with you all. So The title of the article out of Florida was "The Police, Florida Police Under Fire" is video of black man punched, dragged by deputies during traffic stop. The first paragraph of this thing says, it says that a cell phone video showing a white police officer in Jacksonville, Florida, striking a black man in the face during a February traffic stop before officers dragged a driver from his car sparked outrage online as conflicting accounts of the accident have occurred. This is the part that, of course, my brother Scott and I were talking about today. The age. A video which shows a 22-year-old driver, William McNeil Jr., took from inside his car is a clear depiction of brutality, say his civil rights lawyer, Ben Crump, and Henry Daniels, and comes as law enforcement officials from masked ICE agents to local police officers have been scrutinized for their use of force, particularly against people that look like us. Now, I don't need to tell you all that when we see police officers, I mean, I'm almost 65 years old. When I see police officers in the my mirror, I get nervous, right? No, and I would think that I know how to act. I would think that I know how to carry myself in those situations, but I get nervous. So I want to introduce, of course, our brother, Dr. Delacy Davis. As you all know, he's a former retired police officer, has done incredible work in this area, and he's seen that video. And you know what I'm hearing now is that a lot of folks are talking about the two black police officers
involved also.
I've got some feelings about that, but I'm gonna let Dr.
Leadership
Davis take it from here.
Peace, family. Peace to everyone. Alex, everyone, Ray, community here. Scott, meeting you for the first time, Brother Zaid and Brother Edward. Certainly, you know, there's nothing that can be said that would explain the video of Mr. McNeil being punched in the face, police breaking the window, the penalty for driving without a seatbelt, and the other thing that they accuse, the pretextual stop, is not assault. It's not to be dragged to the ground. It's not to be dragged through a car. And it's just unreasonable. And I think I heard your earlier segment. I think Alex and the other guests were accurate in that there is a push at the federal level to actually flatten these communities, create the conditions that would require unleashing 10 times what we see being unleashed in terms of immigration and ICE on our communities. So you flatten the infrastructure so that there is no capacity for the community to, one, to save itself, to defend itself, and to survive, let alone thrive. And so I took some notes earlier. I agree public education is necessary. Outreach is necessary. There must be stable streams of funding, but it's got to be by us and for us. Certainly, if we've got allies and friends that want to align with us, that is fine. But our interests as community must come together. Earlier today, I was in a meeting with someone who says we're simply a group of human beings committed to saving and helping other human beings. And so that's got to be the standard that we live by. I was with about 25 young people getting scholarships, and they're future leaders. And when they get money from this foundation that I serve on, they commit to doing this kind of work for the rest of their lives in some form or fashion based on their interests. But it's got to go back, unfortunately, to the approach and some of the strategies that were implemented that Brother Zaid, you've talked about all of my life, and that is the movement of the Black Panther Party. We've got to feed our own community. We've got to educate our own community. We've got to have some standards in our community. We have to police our own community. We can no longer expect that government, as we see it and know it, institutions at the federal and state level are going to protect our communities. They are not. And so the conversations that I'm having with people across the country and friends and young people is that you must now begin to build these foundations so that the next generations can survive and thrive. Frantz Fanon says that every generation out of relative obscurity has an obligation to the next generation, and they will either fulfill it or betray it. And sadly, I must agree with the guest and say that for this generation, they have been betrayed by us and those who are in front of us.
Noted. Go ahead, Ed.
I mean, you know, what jumped out at me just now, you know, by Dr. Delacy Davis was that we're going to be flattened. I mean, that's just I mean, you know, Scott, that kind of goes to what we were saying earlier when you were saying we were talking about what we see going on now is a test model, right? With what's happening as it relates to what's going on with the immigrants. But when they come to us, it's going to be totally out of control. And what Dr. Delacy Davis just said was we're going to be flattened. You want to pick up on that as it related to what you were saying earlier today?
Oh yeah, when it comes to you know, our community and specifically Black community, what we're seeing with these raids, these ICE raids, is like you said, it's a test model. It's definitely going to come to us because one of the things is the Hispanics, they are much more galvanized, they're much more organized, they're much more together, unfortunately, than our community, our Black community. And when what they didn't show is a lot of when these ICE raids are as they're going on, there's a lot of jobs, a lot of places where the Hispanics are they have stopped working. They've walked out of jobs. They've walked out of, you know, off of fields. They've walked off construction sites. I've seen it myself in protest and to what's happening. And what's going to happen is, you know, they're going to leave them alone because it's one thing that this country puts ahead of racism a lot of times is money. And once it affects their pockets and their bottom line, they're going to lay off of the Hispanics, which are a very intricate part of our economy. And again, this is just my opinion. But from what I've seen, the next target is going to be us. They're going to use excuses as, you know, that immigrants maybe from Haiti, maybe immigrants from Africa, and pick up people of color, pick up Black people. We're next. And if we don't become much more talk about it, if we don't become aware and be prepared, we are in for a huge problem. You know, that we're not going to be prepared for. So we have to have these conversations, have the training, be ready for what's coming because it's coming. The policies that are taking place are unreasonable. They're unimaginable, and we have to be having these type of conversations and expect the worst and be prepared for the worst.
Now, also, Scott, speak to, if you would, you know, what you said to me today about if that was your 20-year-old son and he got stopped by the police, and if that had went in a whole nother direction, and why you said you sort of thought that, you know, our young people need to learn how to live for tomorrow. Don't put themselves in a situation where we're giving these guys a license to kill us. Talk a little bit about that, if you will, because I think that, you know, one of the things is that that's always an issue for us, right? Because, you know, it's like, you know, I saw one of our brothers, my son, he posted a video, Brother Ray, he posted a video on his site where he showed a white man, right, confronting two police officers, and he wasn't conforming to nothing. He literally was fighting these guys, but he didn't get punched in the face. He didn't even get maced. He didn't get nothing. The cops just wrestled with him, but they didn't punch this guy. They didn't do any of that. So, Scott, talk about what you were saying if that had been your son.
Well, I think, you know, when I saw the video, one of the things that, you know, it definitely evoked some emotion, some strong emotions. But one of the things that I saw and got out of it was that was a young brother who didn't have training on how to deal with certain situations, especially when it comes to police when they approach a vehicle. Now I get it. You know, when I saw the excuse, I think they stopped him for, I think it was told seatbelts, and I think his lights weren't on in a hazy, you know, day or whatever, and you know, it makes, you know, when that excuse makes it seem like they were looking for something, and they were ready to go. And I think in that situation with this young brother, I get it. It's a pride thing. You get pulled over for no reason, for a silly reason. You know, I'm sure in the back of his mind he knew that you know, this is an unjust situation that he was in, an uncalled for aggression by the police. But at the end of the day, what I tell my son, and my daughters also, because you know our black young women are being under attack, that the most important thing is to make it home to tell the story. And what I saw is, you know, I get it. The young gentleman was upset, but what he needed to do was comply as best as his ability. When they told him to step out of the car, you know, he should have stepped out of the car. Not again. It's completely wrong. You know what the police officers do. You know, coming in and, you know, breaking the glass and all that was just completely uncalled for. But at the end of the day, you want to live to tell the story. So, you know, what I tell my sons, you know, what I tell my daughters is keep your hands on the steering wheel. If they ask for your credentials, you go into the you know, you tell them that you're about to go into the glove box, if that's where it is or whatever it is. Tell them where you're gonna go. Put your hands back on the steering wheel. Comply. If they tell you to step out of the car, come out of the car. I get it. It's uncalled for. I know that, you know, 90% of the time, you know, it's because we're black that it's happening to us, because white people don't face the same scrutiny. They don't fight. They face the same type of injustice. But at the end of the day, like I said, we have to come home. So you know, when the brother was saying earlier about, you know, our responsibility, being elder, having experience, we have to train our children, train our young men to handle these situations differently. You know, because you want to be able to walk away from it. So that's what I got out of there.
Dr. Davis, what do you say? Should we have to comply? Is it a matter of making it home? Is it a matter of living for another day to tell your story? I mean, you know, is that what it is? Just whatever they tell us, no matter what, no matter how wrong it is.
So you know, of course, I don't share that view. I don't think it's either or. I think it's both and none of it guarantees your safety at the end of the day. You know, we wrote the curriculum in 1998 on what to do and stop by the police. That has evolved to the talk, but we did the copyright. If we were talking about the 1990s and the early 2000s, I would say yes to everything you just said, Brother Ed. But what I recognize now, we've had folks comply with NYPD and get raped on the beach because they were complying. We've had folks comply and get gunned down because now they're out of the shot of the camera. And so I respect Brother Scott in that each of us has to teach our children what we think is best for them. And I often tell parents, and you have to do what you can live with. I have a son, I have 5 daughters, right? And so I recognize that different children of mine, I give them slightly different advice because some are a little hotter than the others. But there are no guarantees, and that's the problem. You know, as you were talking, and I knew that you were going to ask that question, I said the question we must ask ourselves as parents, as leaders, as organizers in the community is, where are you and our children safer when stopped by rogue police officers? And that's a question that's going to be answered differently for everyone based on a variety of things. I just said to some families that are down in Florida that I'm friends with and relatives, I said, you're in a red state. So let's begin there. This is the same state that sentenced Lionel Tate at 12 years old to life without the possibility of parole, the youngest in the history of the United States. And I worked on that case for 3 years with Johnny Cochran. We wrote his reentry plan. We won the appeal and we walked him out of jail. But certainly if they'll throw a 12-year-old away, basically, and he should have been punished, but what they said is there is nothing redeemable in you at 12. And that was in 2001. So if they believe that about our 12-year-olds, Everybody else is unsafe, which is why we talk about all of these institutional things that we must build in community for our own safety and survival.
So
I get it, but tonight, like, you know, it was Friday night. You know, my son is not home as it is. I can't wait for the institutional thing. And I agree with you. I mean, I 100% agree with you. And you know, me and Ed talk about that all the time. But until that happens, because we are honestly, I'm gonna keep it real. We are so far behind the 8 ball. We've let this next generation down so much. I mean, these conversations aren't new. I mean, since early 90s, we're having the same conversations since I was in college, right? I was in college 30 years ago. 30 years ago, we're having the same exact conversation. So tonight, I can't tell my son, wait till we, you know, get it together. I got to tell him, I got to give him skills that are going to protect him, you know, tonight, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying anything was wrong with what you're saying, but you know, with this, if I'm going specific, I was asked a specific question. If I'm going specific to what this brother did wrong was, and I get it, it wasn't wrong, but what would have kept him safer is if he would have complied a little. And I get it, complying doesn't guarantee anything. That's 100% true. But we have to have the conversations of what to do practically, hands-on, what to do on a daily basis when faced specific situations. It may not be traffic stops. It could be just everything in general. We have to walk our young people through what to do in these times because we have the knowledge and experience. And you know, I've gotten stopped in, you know, plenty of times. You know, I lived in North Jersey, coming through racist Princeton. You know, when I was dating my wife, you know, it was not dating my wife, and being stopped every single weekend, and you know, I knew that it was most important for me to comply and again, I had to swallow my pride, you know, and do what they said, because at the end of the day, it's not being a punk, it's not being, you know, it's not being soft or anything like that. It's trying to live for another day. So my whole thing is to give a practical, hands-on, situational tools to where they can use when they get faced with these things.
So Ray, you're the guy who you know, kind of gets in the middle of these things. You the guy that's trying to keep people alive. You the guy that come to the scene and try to de-escalate those things. What say you? Did you get a chance to see that video of like young brother?
I actually didn't see the whole video. I've been hearing pieces of it, unfortunately, but I get the gist because, as mentioned in the chat, these things have been happening in our community for a long time, and so I've been talking in the chat because I didn't want to interrupt the brothers. We gotta continue to talk strategy to our community. We have to continue to talk strategy. Like, I don't have any conversations with young people, and probably not even adults, that doesn't involve strategy. Is whether we're talking about family, whether we're talking about financial development or otherwise, we have to continue to talk strategy. I'm not sure what folks are talking to their children about, or what folks are talking to their brothers about, but that's what we had to talk, is so that way we're not facing these things and we're ill-equipped. We all know that this is the leader that's been elected right now is an extreme racist that is pushing negativity, and so that's incentivizing those individuals that join the force for jingoism, and they showing their tail. And so when we know that, we have to stop having frivolous conversations about asinine shit like social media and all that other stuff, and we have to double down on the conversations that ultimately matter and that save our community. When it comes to community violence intervention and individuals, like, we'll pull up on somebody and they going back and forth if it's a road rage type of situation. And that's the conversation that we're having. The second thing I mentioned up above is us addressing this key component of emotional intelligence, because we're skipping over that piece when we're talking to our people. Some of our people have jobs. Some of them actually have degrees, but they still have the emotional intelligence of a 12-year-old. They getting ready to pop off at the sight of anything. And then it's being reinforced by everything that's being promoted on our television is black and brown bodies acting a damn fool. And so if that's on the forefront of their mind, their response is going to always be that way. I said in the chat, the machine is loud. We just have to be louder. So those of us that have sense, that have the tools, that understand the protocols of life and how to deal with life, that understand strategy and how to deal with life, whether it's in employment, whether it's an encounter with law enforcement, whether it's an encounter in relationships, we have to continue to talk strategy. We have to continue to talk strategy, and we have to double down on that. We have to enlighten our community members. And so that's where I'm coming from. There is no one size fits all mode to this, Ed. This is a thing of talking to our community members about life. And it's about meeting them where they are and talking the language that they understand. So you can't come to some of our young folks and you start talking Black Revolution if that's not their way of hearing. They might hear it through religion. They may hear it in another way. So you heard me talk in the chat. I talk strategy and I talk chess, but I teach it in parable. Because you have to give it to the person the way that they will receive it. So once you get to know the person by actually like receiving some information instead of talking at them, then you'll figure out immediately how they receive information and what could get through to them.
Right.
So that's what we're doing. And that's what I'm talking about. And that's how we engage in our community. That's that cultural competency piece. I know it's loosely used now, and it's almost becoming cliche, but cultural competency is extremely important. You have to understand the culture of the person that you're talking to relate a message and make sure that it lands. If you don't seek to understand the culture because you're too busy judging the culture and you're only coming from the culture or the background that you come from, then it's not going to land. And you may be the person, well, I'm going to say it and I don't care how you, well, you need to care. Because if you want it to sink and you want it to land, you need to care. So that's my point, brother.
Yes, sir. Now, go ahead, Scott. I'll let you go. Go ahead.
No, I don't want to take. There's something as this one of the brothers was really evoked something out of me, you know, and really touched something deep when he said something. When he talked about how our generation has let the previous generation down. I just want to say, and the last brother who just spoke, I can't see your names. I'm sorry, I got my glasses on. This was with my wife a little while ago, so excuse me. But the other brother had just spoke about the conversations that we need to have, like stop having frivolous conversations. You know, I go to a lot of football games. A lot of my nephews and stuff are in football games, and it's the only time where I see brothers really relating with their sons, or like they come out. It seems like brothers come out for sporting events, but they don't come out for school events or anything like that. And the conversations of all these years, again, I got plenty of nephews. My sons play football and basketball, and all the conversations at those games are just about sports. Like brothers can, you know, they can read off every type of a statistic and every game, and they know all that stuff, and they talk about it, which is fine. But when you go around white people, honestly, their conversations are different. They're talking about stocks. They're talking about politics. They're talking about different things. They're having different conversations. And it seems like our conversations are all about music, sports, you know, what's on the internet. It's just, I think, and my whole point is our conversations have to be different, you know what I mean, with each other, so that we can offer stuff to not only people our age, you know, because, you know, again, iron sharpens iron, but just so that we have something to give to the younger generation. So both of what the other two brothers were talking about really connects with me, because it all matters.
So Dr. Davis, I wanted to ask, you know, Scott's right, it all matters, but I think that one of the things that Ray was talking about, culture, with all the training that goes on, that Alex was talking about, all the money that's being spent with these police, is any of that being spent to teach these guys how to deal with Black people?
So let me say this, and you already know what I'm going to say, Ed. You can't untrain the racists. You're not. I'll tell you what I ask white audiences when I'm at police academies talking to law enforcement people and communities. what year did we get free? Number one. After we got free, what year did we get treatment for the enslavement and the free labor for generations and generations of Black people? I heard Alex earlier talk about ACEs, right? Adverse childhood experiences. Dick Gregory, we used to bring him to town, and he used to say, if you Black or brown and you don't want to kill yourself at least once, you already far gone, right? Because the experience is so bad. And so I look at it from another end, and that is constitutional policing, which we haven't talked about, right? Why are we putting the onus on the consumer of the service to change their behavior rather than hold accountable the people who are misbehaving and demanding that what they raise their hand up to do, which is say to protect and serve, that they protect and serve. So if in fact we're going to teach any part of our community that you're going to comply with bad behavior, misbehavior, and unconstitutional behavior by police, then the least we should be doing is organizing in the streets, because all politics are local, and therefore we don't have to worry about controlling the police if we control the institutions that have control over the police. We can't have it both ways. Now, if you want to comply and take a couple of ass whoopings every now and then the least we got to do is make sure that we're in the 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 percentile when it's time to pull the lever, so you can replicate what a Mayor Ras Baraka has done around mental wellness, around violence intervention, around changing the approach to policing in the community and crime reduction in the 50 percentile. Then you got to do all the other work. That's what we mean when we talk about institution building and building community. I run a family support organization. We provide support to education and intervention and advocacy to parents of children with special needs. You have to have a special needs child to have this job. I've been here 12 years. I also run the agency that trains all 15 of these organizations across the state and for the state. Mental wellness is an issue. So guess what? For the very first time, they just met with me last week and said, hey, we're giving you $500,000. Now, of course, my colleagues who are being cynical that don't look like us said, well, why they all of a sudden find the money? I don't care how they found it. I put a 33-year-old person over it, and I'm putting all these young brothers and sisters, empowering them to do this kind of work. That's the same thing that Brother Ray is saying. We've got to find and identify the resources, multiple funding streams, and then we've got to build the institution in such a way that it lives beyond us. That's the piece we have to do.
Delacy.
Yes.
Mouthful, right? Some of us ain't seen you in a long time, right? I want you to take a step back and tell us about these two organizations that you just identified. See, we remember BCAT, Black Cops Against Police Brutality, right? But folks don't know how you became Dr. Delacy Davis and what that now means for you.
So a couple of things. So of course, BCAP still exists, but what we're doing is what we said we would do 31 years ago. And that was 25 years later, we were not going to be in the streets protesting and marching. I agree with Brother Scott, right? We had to make sure that there was a growth model. And so what we decided we would do is we would go into academics, and we're all across the country writing, doing research, studying, setting up systems. Like Brother Zaid said he hasn't seen me. Well, one, every year for the last 5 years, I go and spend a week in Davenport, Iowa, where it's about 8% Black, but Black people are having the same problems and catching the same hell there as we catch here. And so therefore, we're doing the work over there. Am I frozen? Do y'all hear me or see me? Because I don't see me.
I hear you.
Okay,
I hear you.
There we go. Thank you. Keep rolling. And so we're doing the work in Davenport, Iowa. We're doing the work on the West Coast. We're all over the country. And what I'm trying to do as quickly as we can, one, we hold up the model of the Newark model for violence prevention, but we also tie it into the work around mental wellness. So for example, at the Family Support Organization, which New Jersey contractually services all 21 counties. There are 15 organizations that cover the 21 counties. And what we've been doing, and they've existed now since 1999, 2000, and I've been at mine since 2012, is that we literally go into homes, we go into the community, and we're working with families who have special needs children, whether it's mental health, behavioral health, developmental disabilities, and juvenile justice system involvement. And I'm doing the training for that as well, for my agency, as well as all the others. That's important work, because some of the folks that Brother Ray gets to on the street are kids that have mental health challenges. For example, I do a male mentoring program every summer based on what I learned from Baruti Kafele, who is doing education all over this country, called Power Mondays Male Mentoring. And on Mondays, for 6 weeks in the summer, the first Monday after 4th of July, I take from 5 to 15 young brothers. Most of them have mental health or behavioral health challenges, and we work with them. And I bring in every part of the community they could ever see and want to see and become. We just happen to have a brother most recently. For the last 3 weeks, he's been non-compliant, sleeping all the time, trying to vape every day, no problem. We've kept him. Well, he tore my office up this past Monday, for example. Had to call Plainfield Police Department. Fortunately, folks knew who we were. They sent the right kind of police officers. We didn't have him arrested. We did a police report to leverage him because I now have a conversation with the judge to say to the judge, listen, he tore up my office. He broke up everything. I don't want him sent further into the system. I want you to give him a chance to make this right by making him have to spend more time with me when the school year starts, right? My staff said to me when we debriefed, they said, you were so patient with that brother. And then we had Brother Luce come in, who comes every year. So by the time Brother Luce came and said, yo, man, you seem like you repping somebody, but that ain't how you supposed to be repping. And then we had Brother Labib, who was the bodyguard for Denzel Washington, Wesley Snipes, and formerly for the mayor. He had all these strong black men. So we didn't have to threaten them. We didn't have to use police tactics. What we did was we loved on him. And we told him, we're not putting you out the program. And we then got his mother on the phone and said, we won't sign a complaint against him as long as you don't let him quit. This brother, for the first time in 3 weeks, he hugged Luce first. Then he hugged Labib. Then he hugged me and said, I'll be back next week. Now, that's the work that Brother Ray is talking about, because that is high-level intervention. Because he wanted to fight, and he's used to fighting. And I didn't know he was court ordered because I don't ever look at their record. I tell my staff, don't tell me what the record is, because I don't want to be prejudiced against them. 13 years old, he's our kid. That's right. And that's the level of policing. That's the kind of commitment we got to make. And so in the organization, because my board looks like us, they've allowed me to be that creative. So when folks say they haven't seen me, because we're doing all this work in other places and teaching other people how to do it and passing the baton while there's still a race to be won.
I want you to put in the chat the links for the orgs so we can get that out and folks can catch up with how our brother became Dr. Delacy Davis and what he's doing now, and we can be mutually supportive of his efforts moving forward. Good stuff, my brother. Good stuff.
You know, Dr. Davis, when you talk about not letting this one young brother quit, I think that's, and Ray, you probably can speak to
very
that.
cultural centric.
Yeah,
that's rites of passage.
Yeah,
got to perform the rites. Got to do it.
That's and that's what it is, right, Ray? I think that when you talking about the culture, it's that's what it is, right? Because we're used to quitting, and what it takes is it takes brothers like yourself and brothers like Delacy Davis, right, who are doing this work every day, not to let these guys quit, right? Because the success is on the other end of it, but you got to be willing to put in the work.
Absolutely.
And it requires, what I heard Delacy Davis say. What he's saying is that because I'm in charge, I get to not throw this person away.
That's right.
Right. And I think what I hear you say, Brother Ray, is that because I'm out there and I'm the guy that can step in between, I'm going to make the difference of whether this kid lives or dies, no matter what comes out of his mouth right now. I'm going to make sure that he get a chance to go home.
Triggers are real. Triggers are certainly real, but Dr. Davis said exactly, we're going to love them. And only love conquers hate. We don't understand how deeply rooted that hate is and how it permeates in our community. And so it is deep. I mean, we had to scratch. But when we get to the humanity in that person by using humanity, there's no coming back from. I heard a similar story to this in Shifting Your Paradigm from the brother Bob Proctor. And it's a very, very, very similar story to this. And because that's all pain.
That's right.
Him tearing that office up, that was pain. I know, because I was that young man at 13. I did that same thing.
Me too.
I did that same thing. That was pain. But it didn't get met with pain. He wasn't thrown away. It was met with love. He will never. That was a awakening and life-defining moment in his life. And that is a life-defining moment in many of our young people's lives. The unfortunate part is when they get to the precipice of that change, most often we find ourselves in somebody's bullpen.
That's right.
There's not a Dr. Davis there to save us. Most of us, because of historical policing, have found ourselves in someone's bullpen because they seek to arrest the person instead of the situation and cure the person. They don't seek cure because they're not taught to seek cure. They're taught to enforce law.
That's right.
And that is a problem because the law traumatizes our community and perpetuates and creates a cycle of violence and poverty and so on and so forth. That love that Dr. Davis is talking about, that mentorship, the thesis that we're discussing here is what's needed in our community. And that's where our breakthrough happens.
You're right, Brother Ray. You know, in our community, it's law enforcement. In their community, it's public safety. Okay, it's the same folks, same uniform, same team, but they function very differently. And so that's what we've got to demand. I saw Brother Principal Kafeda. I'm going to just shout him out once again because he was in East Orange doing this work when I was a police officer. He was catching hell in the education field. I was catching hell in the law enforcement field. And so we came together out of necessity, even though one of my children was also his student, but we came together and we've managed to keep this thing together 30 plus years. That's the other piece of this. You know, Dr. Tyrone Powers, who y'all are familiar with, former FBI agent. One of the things we said in 1993 when we met, we were going to break the mold and we are dispelling the myth that Black people can't work together, Black people can't come together, Black people this, that, and the other. We have worked across the country, about 15 of us now for the last 30 plus years. He's in Baltimore on the ground doing the work. We started the work in Baltimore in 1998 called the People's Plan for 6 months going into the community and saying, how do you want to be policed? What would you like if you had all the money in the world, your police department to look like? And now Dr. Andre Bunley is inside of the mayor's office doing a whole Black male initiative. So that is the work. And that's what I mean when I talk about the institution. We have got to be fully engaged. So if we're going to tolerate misbehavior by law enforcement, we damn sure better be at the polls. We better be knocking them out the box. Every time elections come around, even what has gone wrong in this community, them jokers are voting in the 90 percentile. It's very simple. We're fighting to save our own lives. And if you don't like the candidate that's running, then run your candidate. And if you can't find one to run, then you run. But you can't tell me that we've been talking about it for 1,000 years and you have played no role in making change to the condition that we find our people in our community in.
Let me put a pin in something very quickly because I know our segment's going to wind down a little minute because there's some things that we brought out we need to bring together. Right, and that's and what we're talking about now is having a long game and having long vision in this because our struggle is protracted. This year is the centennial of Frantz Fanon. This year is the centennial of Malcolm X, the daddy of our credible messages. And this year is also the 30th anniversary of the epic Million Man March. Right, and that's the kind. And Ed, I know you want to jump in on that in a minute because how we're going to embrace that anniversary is a national moment for the Black man in this country right now. Right now. Don't get quiet.
So, no, listen, man, I'm what's floating around in my head is just, I'm hearing, Dr. Davis Monday program. I mean, that's just dope to me, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm hearing everything else. I want to contribute now, but I'm like, yo, that Dr. Davis, brother, that I don't know, man. I think that model needs to be duplicated, man. Absolutely. You know what I mean? To take a group of brothers every Monday and do that kind of work, and I mean, I'm just saying, man. I think that's what we, and Scott, you and I talk about a lot. That we don't see anybody doing anything. I think what Dr. Davis just said. Wow. I mean, but let me speak to the 30-year Million Man March. So I don't know if you brothers know that they are now having conversations about doing a 30-year Million Man March. There was a conversation that took place with Minister Farrakhan as it relates to that. And, I participated last Monday in one of the first conversations around this. And I got to tell you, on that call, was some very powerful brothers. Of course, Willie Wilson was on that call. Dr. Maulana Rankaringa was on that call. There was so many. My brother, my son, was on that call. There was so many brothers on that call. There was even some sisters. As you all know, anybody who went to the Million Man March, some sisters was at the march.
We had women in support of the Million Man March.
So if there was an organization to convene to talk about 30 years, they were there. Yeah. So they were on the call. And some of the things that came out on that call is that, because as you all know, this October 16th will be 30 years. We were having some conversations whether that was enough time to do what we're talking about needs to be done. But what we agreed to do is that there's going to be these conversations every Monday night at 9:00, right? There's a Zoom, and we all should try to come to them, right, to these conversations so that we can be a part of it. And I'm telling you, Brother Ray and Scott and Dr. Davis, y'all should be on that call, because let me just tell you, nobody comes with a title, right? Everybody is a brother that's coming on there that recognize the moment that we're living in, particularly as it relates to what you said, Dr. Davis, when you were saying we got to recognize that when we get stopped, where we at?
That's right.
Right? Because if you get stopped in Florida, who's the governor? Right? Think about where you at. If you get stopped in Newark, think about who's your mayor.
That's right.
Think about you got Ray, somebody, who may just be able to get to the scene and save your black ass, right? We gotta take all of that into consideration. So I think that, because some of the conversations that they were talking about, it may not be enough time to do what we did in 95, but is there enough time for us in each individual state, sort of like what Mayor Baraka is doing now, where he's having these individual meetings around the state around developing a Black agenda specifically to New Jersey, right? Is that something that should be done around the country, where each state where Black people populate, where they should be having a conversation about those issues that are important in their state, and then bring it together, right? And what Amiri did in 1972 around what you were saying, right, a moment ago, Dr. Davis, around our political inclusion, our political thinking. And then all of us come together in a national Black political convention after we created all of this stuff around the state. But now we come together and we talk about how do we begin to organize, because as you know, Dr. Davis, particularly here in Newark, and you know this, Ray, when we have a school board election or some kind of election, hardly anybody come out. And we need to change that by being able to do the kind of organizing that Mayor Baraka is doing around the state right now. The second meeting is going to take place tomorrow. But I got to tell you, man, that whole idea, if there's nobody coming to save us, that whole idea that you're talking about, Dr. Davis, we somehow need to copy that, brother.
Yes, sir.
All over the country, it needs to be something going on every Monday around how to do that. And if you and Ray understand that we don't let nobody go,
that's
because
right,
we recognize that they're damaged, then we gotta figure out how to duplicate that, man.
Brother, we're in Davenport, Iowa. There's a brother running the program there called A System Within a System. They reached out to our organization through Coach Powell out of Dayton, Ohio, and we all came together with Dr. Chike Akua from Clark, Atlanta. The three of us came together and said, we're going to design this program. We didn't even know what we were designing, but we agreed to go. There was no money involved. They just covered our expenses. It went so well. The community organized and raised $10,000 on our first visit. And 5 years later now, we're up to 250 young people that come out for this Thursday, Friday, Saturday event that we do there. In Denver, Colorado, I work with a group there called Make a Chess Move. All brothers and sisters that come from street organizations. Brother Philip brought me in, adopted me as an uncle, and we've been working together now for the last 4 years. And so it looks different in each community. But for me, all the time, Newark has been the anchor. Kafele was the model for me with the young boys. I only do 6 weeks, and I only take 5 to 15. Like right now, I'm at my cap of 5. I lost 3 before we ever got started because we do an orientation first so that the parents know what they're bringing their children to. And some parents go, no, I don't want my kid that structured. Like I tell them, your kid comes home and tell you they cleaned the bathroom, they did. And the reason they cleaned the bathroom, because I'm going to clean it first. I'm going to show them how to clean the bathroom. I'm going to show them how to take the garbage out. I'm going to show them how to keep the office clean because they're going to be fully engaged and they're not wetting up my floor. But I'm going to do it in my suit and tie. Parent took both his kids. I don't want my kid clean the bathroom. Have at it. Good luck. And we're not even angry because we, as we said, in terms of cultural competence, we meet people where they are and we roll with readiness. When they're ready, we roll, and when they're not ready, we roll. But if they decide they want to come back, we open the door and we embrace. And then we leave their kid at the end of that 6 weeks in a suit. All my suits come from the thrift shop. All their suits come from the thrift shop. And what I do is I buy them, I size them for them, and then we take them to a tailor in Elizabeth and get them cut for their bodies. The kids want to wear the suit all week long. They're like, Dr. Davis, I never thought I looked this good in a suit. Now, what gave me that was Kafele. When they were at Newark Tech, where he was the principal, every Monday he would do I think it was one Monday a month, he would do this with his young men, but they had to have a jacket, a tie, and a briefcase. And he'd bring me in as a community speaker. So that's where it came from. So now I put them in an entire suit and we pay for everything. We cater breakfast for them. We cater lunch. We give them a menu in the morning. We let the first time the parent picks, then we let the young person pick. But I get to see if they can read by giving them a menu. I'm not going to give you a test and ask you, can you read? I just give you a menu and a piece of blank paper and say, hey, listen, I just need you to tell me what you want to eat. When the kid tells me 2 and 3 times, give me a bagel, and I know that he didn't go to the page that had bagel on it, we now know we got a literacy problem. Without embarrassing my bringing sister Shakana, who's a reading specialist. So this past 2 Mondays ago, I had her come in and she teaches literacy. She brought in her ice cream truck up and she talked about literacy, financial literacy, and now showing you what you can do when you learn to read, learn financing, and you can build a business that she's now had for 8 years on Bergen Street in Newark. It is that kind of building that we're talking about.
Right on. Right on. Right on. You muted, Ed.
You muted, Ed.
Scott, you've heard this now, and you know the conversations we have. What say you, man?
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the things, first of all, I just salute you, brothers, because this is what I when I'm talking to my brother-in-law and other brothers who are like-minded, this is what we look for. So my whole thing is, how can we get the message out that there is these programs, that there's these people like yourself, like you gentlemen, who are doing the work, right? Like, because one of the things what I liked about when I went to the Million Man March, 30 years ago now, it's crazy. But, when I was there, it was so empowering just to see brothers. There was no issues. Just the fact that there was 1 million black men there was just so empowering, and it was so exhilarating. But the thing about it is there was a charge, but there was no timetable on those charges. So I think what we got to do going forward too is, one, we need to get these organizations together. Like, we need to know about these organizations. How can we as a community know about the organizations and the projects and all these different things and all these different ideas that are in place right now? How can my whole thing is, how can it be spread to the masses? Because I'm down in South Jersey, and I know that there's not a lot going on in a lot of the inner cities down here in the Trenton and Camden. Yeah, there's little things here and there, but there's nothing that is like a disconnect between what's happening in North Jersey and what's happening in South Jersey. I was talking to Ed earlier about with Mayor Baraka. There was no advertisement of his political campaign down here, and we have plenty of black folks down here. So my whole thing is galvanizing and information. How can we come? That's really more of a question. How can we bring this all together across the country?
So let me say a couple of things, and then I'll certainly defer to my brother Ray. So Principal Kafele does about 500 lectures around education, cultural competency, Black boys, and the very thing I just talked about all across the country. He's in the blackest states and the whitest states, and they bring him in. He's got to think he's up to 17 or 18 books. So it's one we could just simply go to principalkafele.com, and he's on here now, and I think he's going to put his stuff up, but he's on here. We know we got websites that are available. And then I think what we have to do is we have to do the work locally. So for example, I think you're right. So South Jersey looks very different than North Jersey. I had a young man that's coming up from Atlantic County. And when I'm now having conversations with one of the churches, the NAACP Youth Council there to mirror what we do up in North Jersey, down there in Atlantic City, we had begun to have conversations with the mayor's office down there so they could fund what we're doing and community people could fund it. So we've got to do, but I want to tell you the truth of the matter is this is heavy lifting. It's hard work and it's on the ground work because it looks different in every community.
Yeah.
I second that. It's place-based. It's certainly place-based, but you start where you are.
Yes.
You start where you are. You create a convening. I mean, everybody doesn't have this platform, but everybody can create a Zoom. You create a thesis for that Zoom. You start creating momentum around the central purpose or your ask or your solution or the issue that you're seeking to solve. And then you allow it to build out from there. You invite your community in, because I can promise you this, that collective efficacy, you will find yourself on a platform that you never imagined would be.
Yep.
So you start where you are. You create a zone. You put the filters out there. You start with your inner network, and then you start getting people out there. When the topics are substantial, the people will come, and we'll begin solving problems.
So, Brother Scott, I'll give you an example. Mike Barbie, who went to Arts High School, came in after me. He's along with my brother, started Man Village. Man Village has 150 brothers now that come together on a Saturday in East Orange, New Jersey, to talk about mental wellness and the challenges that men are facing. The youngest in the group is 19. I think the oldest is 75 or 80 years of age. They've been consistent now over the past year and a half, 2 years. And he also has an offshoot from that where when the pandemic hit, we started walking up in West Orange at the reservoir. We walk every Sunday at 7 a.m., anywhere from 5 to 25 of us, and all we talk about is life. It's men, it's women, it's young, it's old, it's children. So we've been building, to the point that Ray made, we've been building these little components and little communities where we can build out. And then finally, I'll say, in Davenport, Iowa, a young man, Ty Lewis, came up to me and said, "Hey, man, you said something to me about being an athlete and white folks exploiting me, on and on and on." He said, "Well, I went to school on a scholarship and I'm feeling some kind of way." And we began to talk. He said, "Can I continue to engage you?" I said, "Absolutely." Well, Ty Lewis just bought his 4th piece of real estate, which he didn't own any. And I was there to talk about financial literacy. And now he's building out, and now he's doing what we did for him 4 years ago for other brothers and sisters right there in the Davenport area. So we've got to build this thing. And I'll say this, we also have to have our generation talking to, hand holding, and mentoring the generation behind us. If you don't have at least one inmate that you're engaged with and doing something for, if you don't have at least one senior citizen, at least one young person, and at least one community-based organization, and none of the people that are related to you, because I expect you to take care of people you're related to, but we're talking about people who are total strangers. I send money every month to one inmate who's got 32 years he's already done, and he says to me, "Brother Delacy, keep talking to these young brothers because you're a hero behind this wall." He said, "Every time you're on, they say, your brother's on, man, your brother." And so we got to engage at that level. Everybody doesn't have to do everything, but you got to find that one thing that you're willing to commit the rest of your life to make things better for everybody else.
And to Delacy's last point, consistency matters. Consistency, man, it can't be one and done.
That's right.
If you're going to make a commitment, it's a commitment. It takes time, and that's what commitment is. It's your greatest resource, the time you sacrifice to get back to your community.
Well, listen, man, I want to thank you, brothers, for coming on, and Ray, I want to thank you for sticking with us, man.
With us, yes, sir.
I really appreciate that. Got mad respect for you, man. Dr. Delacy Davis, I think you already know, brother, that, we're glad you still alive, brother, all that you've been through. You know what I mean? because you most certainly don't look like what you've been through. You
Yes,
know,
sir. That's right.
and you know, because you survived it all. You've been there with a lot of them elders that are no longer with us, man. You know, so even when you talk about Brother Tyrone Powell's, you know what I mean? I mean, of course, you know, you could sit there and tell us the story of,
Bad
you
in
know,
Newark too.
what kind of
They must
job,
take the
you know,
corner.
he did, but yeah, you know, he was working on behalf of his people, man, after leaving the FBI department. So, I mean, I just want to say, you know, to all of you brothers, you know, Scott, man, you know, as an entrepreneur and you know, you all this time you put in, you know, running your parents' company and all that stuff, man, that you know, what a great father you are and what a great job you did raising your kids, man. So I mean, all three of you brothers, man, I just want to say thank you. And I know that everybody in this chat, man, is absolutely blown away. Um, you know, Dr. Davis, I think he called you a dinosaur. Family's out of control. But listen, man, I'm gonna give each of y'all an opportunity to make a final statement before we close it out. So, Ray, we'll start with you.
Okay.
Ubuntu, brothers. Ubuntu.
I am because we are. Yes, sir.
And Scott?
Well, I'm just overwhelmed with just positivity and a charge, because like Ed was saying just briefly, that I have a construction company, and I'm looking for brothers, you know, as I'm expanding, I'm looking specifically for brothers, you know what I mean, and sisters to help expand and you know, and to just, you know, get the economy going, right? Get our Black economy going. I'm gonna do my part, but this is a affirmation, and to you know, keep on moving forward and doing the work.
And I'll finish with Frederick Douglass, my favorite. He said, those who profess the faith of freedom yet deprecate agitation are men and women who want crops without plowing the ground. You want rain without thunder and lightning. You want the ocean without the awful roars of its many waters. The struggle, it may be a moral one, it may be a physical one, or it may be both, but there must be struggle. For power concedes nothing without demand, never has, never will. Know just what any people will quietly submit to, and you know the exact measure of wrong and injustice that will be imposed upon you, and these will continue until they're resisted with words or with blows or with both. God bless you, and thank you for an opportunity to serve our
Dr.
community.
J would agree with you, Delacy. Listen, hold up. We got to ask y'all the ritual question. You want to do it, or I'm going to do it, Ed?
Oh, you go ahead. Go ahead, Zai.
Those of you who've been on the first time, and those of you veterans, you know this is a hip-hop political talk show, right? Who are you listening to these days to get you through this work you're doing, or who is your favorite hip-hop artist or group?
So recently I'm listening to Naughty, and the reason I'm listening to Naughty because they got Fallen by Nature. They've got a beverage out, and I've been spending a lot of time with Benny, and Benny is a part of the mentoring program. I've been listening to them again and getting excited, trying to turn the next generation on to Naughty by Nature.
And
For me,
a basketball court up there now, right?
That's what I'm talking about. Fallen by Nature. Yes, they got a whole basketball program going all summer long, girls and boys.
It's all summer?
Yes, they've been doing it the whole summer.
Oh man, I gotta come through there then. Okay.
For me, it's the brother D1. I think D1 is out of St. Louis. If you haven't heard of him, D1 is the brother with the locks. He wears his hair wrapped up. It's been a lot of back and forth between him and the brother Jim Jones and a couple other brothers. D1 is an amazing brother. He's trying to balance out the scales of all that negativity being put out there. And then it's another brother called Locksmith. And D1, putting out some real positive messages, and have no problem going against the machine, even if the machine looks like us sometimes.
That's right. That's right. Real talk. Real talk. Brother Scott, what say you?
Listen, I'm so disconnected. I listen to all old school hip hop. You know what I mean? I can't even relate to, you know, I mean, my favorite group is Run DMC, Rakim. You know, I just been going back in the crates, and that's all I've been doing, old school hip hop with a little R&B, but mostly, you know, all my heroes are old school. I can't. I'm disconnected with the new
Keep
stuff.
them crates, baby. Don't get them crates.
Never.
Well, listen, man. Again, I just want to say thank you to really all three of you. Appreciate y'all taking some time out of your schedule, to come through, man, and be a part of the show tonight. I've already got a couple of texts in my private texts saying, man, they're gonna chop this show up on you, Delacy. They say, don't be surprised if you see some things pop up on IG about some of the things you said tonight, brother.
That's fine, brother.
Awesome.
So appreciate y'all, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Peace, family.
All right, fellas.
Good to see y'all. Good to see you.
Peace.
Good stuff.
So Zaid, there it is, man. We've had one of those shows tonight, man. That probably is going to go down in infamy. Where we probably gonna be able to replay this show and put it up when we're not here and just let it run.
We pulled that last segment together. You did that. You pulled that last segment together in the last minute. So
yeah, but it tied into what. Yeah. But it tied into what you would set up in the first segment, right?
This flow.
To go into, what was happening. It flowed right into the second segment, So just in terms of that. But Zaid, in the few minutes we got left, man, I wanna see if we can talk a bit about, have you been following what's going on with Trump and the Epstein thing and so forth? and the reason I'm asking you that,
they used to hang out together.
Yeah,
they used to hang out together.
Yeah.
And one was doing this and enjoying himself with the company of others. What does that say about who was in that company?
Right.
Do we have something? Is there something there that can finally give us the means to get rid of this criminal in the White House? Because he's been convicted. You the lawyer, how many times he been convicted and beaten in the court?
34 times.
34. And he's the president of the United States.
Yeah, 34 felony conviction.
Yeah. Lift it. You know what Khaled would say, lift up that dress.
Yeah. Yeah. So the flip side of that is that the King family didn't want it out, but the little bit that I'm hearing about what's on him was great stuff. His reparations plan. That needs to be lifted up, right? Yeah. And of course, all of the COINTELPRO records, all that stuff that's still sealed up needs to be released. Malcolm's family, the dog, my sisters are trying to get all that stuff out around just how far the assassination went up the line on this government. Those questions are still real. All that stuff should be released. That's my short answer. But that's the thing, though. I understand that the King family did not want those records released.
Right. I don't know why that was. I don't, but then, I'm sure they had their reasons, and we respect and appreciate and support them in any way that they want to. But what we've seen was huge on the plus side.
Yeah.
Right. And we need to figure out how to lift. That needs to be memorialized, i.e., in scholarship and in books and study, because that amplifies his legacy.
Yeah. One of the things I was taking from this, because as you know, I'm studying the lawyers on this, right? Okay. And as I was looking at the lawyers who actually represent some of the victims, and particularly the people who have control of that book, the lawyers actually said that if they were subpoenaed, right, with all of this that's going on, they were saying that if somebody in Congress would just subpoena them, they would be willing to release the book to Congress.
I've heard that. Yes.
And so that's, I'm Zaid, I'm like, or is the Democrats playing games, or we know the Republicans are, but I'm like, okay, did you guys just hear that? and damn near everybody that's in Congress or in the Senate is a lawyer. You telling me that somebody immediately run and get a subpoena, right? You a member of Congress and subpoena that book, and we get an opportunity to see what's in the book. We ain't got to wait for him to release everything, because the thing he's concerned about is that birthday book. Yeah. Because the truth is, Zaid, he knows that he contributed to that book, right? And if the book is available to be subpoenaed, listen, everything is a smokescreen, right? Everything else is a smokescreen. Releasing Dr. King, you know, they released, you know, around, you know, Congresswoman MacGyver. I mean, all this stuff, man, you know, that's going on, and so that we won't keep our eyes on him. Yeah. Right. And so we know that and you know, listen, they're the ones, Zaid, as you know, on the Republican side, they're the ones that started that whole, you know, conspiracy theory. They created that. Wasn't us, right? It wasn't black folks. No, was it black Democrats? It was them. And that was, Zaid, because they were looking for who was in that book, i.e., particularly Clinton. Right? They wanted to know, you know, what was his relationship and what was going on. And Trump wasn't really interested in seeing any of that stuff released, because he knew that he was, and you know, and listen, we don't know what the evidence is going to show, but you can believe he doesn't want all of that stuff to be released. Yeah. So it was
he ain't the only boy out here that's messy. Clinton was messy. And Trump was messy. They were messy as hell and how they handle themselves.
Yeah. I mean, let's don't forget Monica Lewinsky, right? Trump was a mess. I mean, you know, Clinton was a mess. So we could only imagine what these guys were involved in with this guy, right? Listen, this guy was filthy rich, man. They said that he left like behind like $1 billion, man. Damn. I mean, think about that for a second. This dude owned his own island.
Can't even comprehend that kind of stuff, you know. My behind about to face pay off for some chump change. I can't even comprehend it.
But you know what I'm looking around is that how, you know, and as I was looking at that
billion, I could eat.
Huh?
Give me 1% of that billion that I could eat.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. But Zaid, the thing is, man, is that all these lawyers that are involved, and what I'm saying is that, you know, where's true justice in all of this, man? Where's it at? Right? I don't know.
Yeah. You see Kafela in the chat, right? We see you, Kafela. No one knows that he paid his money. All that stuff should be fully investigated. Right?
Listen. He probably, we don't know, but listen, he probably made his money charging people, you know, millions of dollars, you know, to come to his island. Who knows? That's why if we see that book,
page, that's right, and having them pay for his silence.
You got it, right? We see that, and listen. You know, the chick who's locked up for 20 years, right? She was the madam.
Yeah.
So and listen, you listen. Let me tell you something, Zaid. Don't believe that this lawyer that went down there ain't down there talking a deal. Don't believe that. He's just gonna go down there to give her an opportunity to finally tell her side of the story. They could care less what her side of the story is, as long as the side of the story don't include Trump.
That's right.
And remember, Trump is the one who can let her go. These are federal crimes, man. He can let her go.
He's been letting everybody else go.
Yeah. Right? So he could end the whole
contradictions amongst these crazy capitalists.
Yeah. So, but Zaid, we come to the end of the show, man. You know, that was, you know, just some levity I wanted to add to the end of it.
All day too. I was fasting, headache, energy was weak, concentration was off. I listened to a little bit of Charles Barron right before I got on. That got me going.
Okay. Well, listen, man. We want to thank, of course, the disciples for coming through and doing the show, and we want to thank Roundtree for inviting those sisters, from the Source of Knowledge bookstore.
Yeah, love them dearly. I want them to stop giving away so goddamn much because I don't want them to go out of business. Right? Yeah, I get them, right? Alex Vitale, the first thing. Folks, when I tell folks about Alex, they lose their mind. I said, you know where defund the police come from? It comes from this white boy from Texas. They lose their mind. For real? But for real. Good to have Alex first time. Good to have Ray back. Ray hung out, got into got his second win, and got into that powerful conversation with Delacy. I've been wanting to have a sit down with Delacy for the longest, just by virtue of what he's invested in, that he's been doing other places, right? But we should be more aware of it and have more access to it, because in the end he's one of ours, like everybody else. And Scott, that's straight, honest, hood daddy vibe.
Yeah,
it was right. It was right on.
Yeah,
it was right. It just rounded out everything really well.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So we appreciate everybody in the chat. Everybody who contributed to the show tonight.
Let me just make one last announcement before we go out of here.
Okay.
The Malcolm X Commemoration Committee, our Revolutionary Fourth Sundays series, continues this Sunday with a Malcolm Newark conversation. I have Achille Buchanan, who was a student who led the drive to have Southside named after Malcolm. Right? The first institution in the country to do that. And Lawrence Ham, who was on the board of education, 17 years old, who pushed the petitions through the board when Achille brought them, that got that done. These were Baraka babies, Baraka cubs, who were witnesses and participants of what Amiri Baraka did, pushing Malcolm's line, the Ballad of the Bullet, Malcolm's line of cultural revolution into this town and making it a beachhead for Black Power. 7 o'clock, live on YouTube, the Malcolm X Commemoration Committee. I want folks to look forward to that.
So when is that going to take place again, Zaid?
This Sunday, July 27th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, live on YouTube, the Malcolm X Commemoration Committee.
All right. And I got two announcements. So tomorrow.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Tomorrow, the mayor. Were you finished? Are you still? You got
something else? Go ahead. I'll come back. I'll come behind you. It's all good.
Okay. So of course, the mayor got his thing going on tomorrow. The second state-wide meeting for the development of a Black agenda for the state of New Jersey. That's going to happen tomorrow, July 26th at 5:30 p.m. at the Second Baptist Church, 93 Liberty Street in Long Beach, New Jersey. That's tomorrow.
Down there by the shore. Yeah. That's of the Jersey Shore.
I'm sorry, it's Long Branch. Yep, Long Branch. That's going to take place tomorrow. Of course, Mayor Baraka, Reverend Sharpton. It looks like someone named Terrence Dunlap Sr.
He's the pastor of that church, I think.
Okay. And Jessica. No, I'm sorry. Not Jessica, but it looks like Jasmine Crockett.
Congresswoman Crockett. She's coming.
Yep, she's coming, and it looks like Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman, Congresswoman LaMonica McIver, and it looks like a gentleman by the name of Richard T. Smith from the NAACP.
Smith is the head of the NAACP State Conference.
Okay. Well, those are the folks who are going to be in attendance tomorrow at 5:30. So if you guys could get there, we'd say definitely come through, be a part of helping to develop that agenda. And then, of course, our brother Do Pray Kelly, better known as Do, 1/3 of the Lords of the Underground, is going to have his second annual Summer Madness Basketball Classic 25. This is the second one that he's done. He's hosting this one. First one was in New York. He's hosting this one in Newark. It's called he does this with Michael Bibbins from New Edition. It's called the Mike Bibbins Jr. Pro Basketball League. It's going to take place, of course, on Sunday, August the 3rd at the Newark. Let me see, what's the address here? It's going to take place at the Community Center, 600 South 17th Street in Newark, right? Again, at the Community Center, 600 South 17th Street in Newark on Sunday, August the 3rd. All right, Zai, you got something else?
Two final notes. Today is the International Day of Women of African Descent. So for Black women all around the world. There's a Black woman from Colombia I want folks to pay attention to. Her name is Francia Marquez. She is a bad black woman, land resource fighter, Afro-feminist, whatnot, environmental champion, who was the vice president of Colombia, right? And Colombia's got a big Black population, one of the biggest in the Americas, right? Tomorrow is the anniversary of the beginning of the Cuban Revolution.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You ain't forgetting on my watch. That's right. And you don't stop.
Well, there it is, y'all. So we want to thank again everybody who came on tonight. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. We'll see y'all next week. Of course, this is all Politics are Local. It's America's number one political hip hop radio talk show. As my brother Zai always says, we're catching where, Zai?
In the whirlwind.
Catch y'all in the whirlwind.
You don't stop.